Welcome to our all-star edition of the Hot Comics Plopcast, number 20.
All right, we got everyone together. We had to bring them together. This is a very important podcast to talk about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, that's our big topic today. And today we have D-Dog Darren in the mix.
Yo, what up?
We got Miss Amy Dallin.
Yo, what up also?
Captain Kirk.
Hey,
As well.
And T-Bone.
Surf's up.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Spider-Man 2. That's going to take a lot of time because we all have a lot to say. And then we got a handful of comic books that are recent to talk about. And then we're going to talk about Jodorowsky's Dune.
Yay! Hell yeah.
Okay, and the intro starts now. I want to hear everyone's theory for why the movie was so bad. What went wrong?
Okay.
Darren, start.
I think that the movie, what was bad about the movie, I don't blame the director. I blame Sony in rushing a sequel out and most likely not having a finished script. Mm-hmm. And so most of the movie was improvised as they were going. And that's why there are huge inconsistencies in tone, inconsistencies in logic,
in characters,
and bizarre character arcs with like manic depressive like leaps of logic, and I just felt that this is obvious. Like Sony's like, we have to get this out at this time, and so they end up with a hugely bloated 2 hour.
Well, the thing is, they couldn't have it come out in 2015 because 2015 is there are huge movies coming out in 15. Like, so it's like they had to get it out now because
Star Wars,
or they'd have to wait till 2016.
But I mean, that's what I think that like if you follow that logic, that is the sort of snowball effect that affected everything.
But if you,
so big rush. Amy, what's your theory?
If I don't know my theory. I think they may have lacked the courage of their convictions in some ways. Like the things that worked well in the first movie that they kind of followed up but kind of didn't. Like I think if the motivation was we don't want to compete in 2015, so let's hurry. I mean, if you had. And the thing is, I actually liked the movie more than most of you guys, but I liked it a lot less than I wanted to because I didn't realize how long I'd been waiting to see, spoiler alert, the big Gwen Stacy story. Mm-hmm. Like, I've been apparently waiting a really long time for that because, like, that was my high water mark of when the first Spider-Man movies came out, like, they weren't brave enough to do that.
Yeah.
And when these came around, I was like, we've reached this point. We could do it. Mm-hmm. And then they sort of did it, but it kind of let me down a little, and I'm really a little sad about, like, because if you'd waited till 2015 and made an Avengers quality story movie that made people fall in love with this and introduced the millions of people who have no idea who Gwen Stacy is before they saw the last one, like, they don't know what's coming, and you could have had them all, and you could have broken their hearts. And so this was not a theory at all, but that was
don't worry. The heart is the thing. There wasn't a beating heart in this movie.
Yeah,
there was somebody getting like on a triage table.
Well, it's like I was saying, it feels like you have 4 producers in a room. And they all come up with cool ideas. Oh, we'll have fucking this, we'll have a Rhino, we'll have fucking Gwen Stacy die, we'll have fucking blah, 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 Peter Parker's dad and his fucking story. And then you're gonna have
spin-off.
Blah, blah, blah.
It'll make a really good shot in the trailer? Do this,
Yeah, like it just feels like, and it feels like each one of them kind of took one of those subplot things and they all kind of came up with their ideas and then they all wrote them down on little pieces of paper and put them up on a wall.
Index cards
and put them up on a wall and just chopped it up together and then wrote a script out of that. Mm-hmm. Instead of writing just one coherent
So you think
script.
The producers wrote the script?
Yes. Which they did, actually.
They did.
They literally did.
And if
you look at the credits, there are credits for...
Executive producer doesn't mean anything.
There's a credit for screen story, and then there's a credit for screenplay. So what the fuck is screen story?
Those you know what I'm saying? Those that you just described.
So it's just...
Those are the same guys that go, you know what would be really cool? If there was a giant spider at the end of the film. Then you get Wild Wild West.
Well, it's
like those are those guys.
Those are great. Still not as bad as Spider-Man 3.
But
what if we do Star Trek 2 and just rip off the story and take all the heart out?
It writes itself, man.
Keep it simple, stupid. You know, and I don't understand why people keep doing this fucking thing where they feel like they have to add 10 more villains every movie. It's like,
I don't get it.
No, it's what ruined the last Batman movie for me. It was just too much.
Well, see, if we only did one character, then we wouldn't be able to do the Sinister Six movie.
And it's like it's not
that's
about,
what it comes down to. They want that movie.
Well, you were saying that this movie was.
It is a 2.5-hour trailer for their next flick.
Yeah, it's just a trailer
really
for their
is.
next movie.
It's a $200 million advertisement.
For why the movie was so bad? That they were concentrating on that the most.
I mean, yeah. In the end, it's a cash grab, but also they gave this character to people who didn't understand the character. The movie,
sometimes they did in the movies.
The movie takes away
right?
the most fundamental part of Spider-Man.
I mean, him trying to figure out how to electro-proof his web shooters, that was gold. I would have watched
awesome.
2 hours of that.
Yeah, but, I mean...
Why Peter wouldn't think of that,
subplot,
though,
I don't know.
Which, by the way, of the 15 different subplots that they decided to...
The whole movie was subplots.
Yeah. There wasn't a main plot. It was just a bunch of little other things that needed to all be tied up
you
together.
didn't know who are you supposed to... What was the main plot you're supposed to care about the most?
But that's why the whole Gwen Stacy thing really rings so hollow, because they shoehorned it into the movie.
And like I said, when you talk about shoehorning, that one subplot where you find out that, Peter's dad is fundamentally the reason why he becomes Spider-Man.
Yeah, because the DNA matches.
I hated that. You took away the core of that character. Mm-hmm. See, Peter Parker's the everyday man. He's the... Spider-Man could have been anybody. That spider could have bit anyone. It could have bit you. It could have bit him. It could have bit you.
Hey.
And you take...
No, he wasn't pointing at you. I noticed.
Yeah.
You skipped both of us.
Sorry, it could have been anybody.
I loved the moment where he's like, Spider-Man or a woman,
Spider-Woman?
we don't know.
Or
I was just like, that's cute. You wear a skin
or
tight
transgender.
suit.
Did you know,
I love that.
Do you know why Steve Ditko, the artist who really had more to do with Spider-Man than Stan Lee, like why he quit the shit?
Ooh, gossip.
Because Stan Lee wanted to reveal who the Green Goblin is, and Steve Ditko felt that the Green Goblin should be anybody.
Oh, I like
He
that.
never wanted a reveal for the Green Goblin, and he walked off.
Well,
speaking of Green
Goblin,
Goblin,
my point is that because now he's predestined to become Spider-Man, it takes away, who he really is. The reason you rally behind Peter Parker is because he gets bestowed this great power, and then he makes the right choice to do the right thing with it.
Yeah.
Like, now it's just the whole storyline where it's the whole sins of the father thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so fucking tired of seeing that movie over and over and over again.
But see, when
Harry is destined to be a dick because his father was a dick.
With Harry, it makes sense. That's part of Harry's story.
But
Peter shouldn't
totally.
be part of Peter's.
Yeah.
I'll give you
but
that,
I mean, if you maybe
Harry's struggle with the legacy is always going to be at the heart of what makes him likable and what makes him sad.
But if
he's
you
likable
cut-
because
if
he
you-
didn't have a choice. He's sad because he's going to lose.
Right.
But if you cut out 3 or 4 of the subplots in the movie, they could have had the whole movie be about Harry
seriously.
and Peter.
Yes.
And it would have been a better film.
Yeah, no, you were saying earlier that if it was just them on the quest for their father,
My whole thing was that it's the move somewhere in that movie was the idea. There was a subplot of Peter trying to find out who his father is, and he was told a lot of awful things about his father.
Yeah.
And Harry finding out who his father is, and this is a dual quest.
Yes.
And it's like one finding out his father is actually kind of a hero.
Yeah.
And one finding out his father
is a villain.
is actually the villain, and then that sort of sense of almost Calvinistic predestination.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you would want to see that movie.
I would love to see that movie. I would love to see that movie. But instead we got, I'm Aunt May and I'm going to be a nurse and I got to hide it from Peter for no reason. What the fuck? Like, who cares? And what was up with the planes?
I'll do your laundry. I'll do your laundry.
Oh, they miss. And then it's like, who cares about these fucking planes?
And by the way, one thing about true realism in the film is that the air traffic controllers are still using technology from 1983. Seriously, from War Games era to get...
Yeah.
They haven't updated that shit.
Are you saying that's accurate or
that's totally accurate? That was the one thing in the movie.
When
I was
you've got
like,
a movie that bad, why even fact check stuff like that?
I mean, it's like...
No, but there were small things they got right. I saw it with someone who's from New York who was like, that's the actual New York broadcaster saying, like...
To me, it's when a movie is... When the sort of, shit starts piling, and the movie... Then you realize you don't like the movie, then it becomes like watching the Zapruder film. and you start seeing more and more things in it every time you look at it, and all the things that are wrong with it.
Oh, I'm sure you can go and make a huge list of stuff in there. But I forgive a lot of movies that I like. If I like something about them, I'll forgive the little problems like that.
It's the drama term, willing suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
And there was just, at some point in the movie, there was my point, you checked out of the movie earlier than me.
Oh, yeah.
But I checked out of the movie when the subway car came out of the ground.
What is that?
And I was like, how would Peter's dad have
the money, resources?
Honey, I'm going to be an hour late. I have to build this elaborate...
A super villain lair?
Yeah, because only Norman Osborn would have the money or the time or the insanity to do that.
You guys, in that secret thing, his dad, on his computer, had attached a tiny photograph of himself with some scientific equipment.
Which I work here. Further, also in a fucked up way, reinforces the fact that Peter's dad really didn't give a fuck about him. Because in the plane scene, he's like, "Honey, we're doing the right thing by leaving our son behind and not telling him, and we're gonna go on the run." And it's like, first of all, you're leaving behind the best piece of bait that anyone could have to get you, because they could say, "Hey, we got your son, and we're gonna fucking kill him if you don't."
Because I'll tell you something about any mother who's a good mother.
You wouldn't
or a father
do that.
who's a good father.
You
don't leave your kid.
You could never do that.
My kid, you're getting a new name, Peter.
Yeah, you're Danny.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. Like that whole
did not feel like the best solution to their problem.
No, it didn't. It didn't seem inevitable, and that was my problem with so much of the movie is the stakes weren't there. And like in that scene, where did they get the private jet?
Yeah.
And then how did the assassin get on the private jet?
Who was that guy?
Who was he?
Who was?
Yeah.
And why?
I kept asking that question a lot during the film. Who was that guy?
Well, at the end, though, who's the guy who's helping Harry Osborn, who's visiting him in Ravencroft, and then he's getting into Oscorp, and he's going to be doing his bidding?
I
Who
don't
the
know.
fuck
I didn't
is
know. I didn't
that?
understand who
Fierce?
that
I
was.
thought I was supposed to know who that was. Fierce.
I think we were all supposed to, and they just kind
I don't
of...
fucking
I didn't know. Who, I didn't
Yeah.
know. Who.
And more importantly, did you care?
I didn't know. I didn't give a shit. No, I mean there was just stuff like that, and then
Well,
there
and
was.
the whole
Dr. Kafka.
Oscorp creating. Oh God, we'll get to that.
But,
fucking Oscorp creating every single hero and villain is really weak.
And they have to have animals.
And
I thought
it's
it was
all
a mistake that
animals.
Electro didn't have an animal origin.
So it's,
But guys, Electric doesn't have an animal. Wait, electric eels. Eels.
Yeah.
We'll go with the eels.
we'll go with
They
No, but
keep
it was
them
like
in the power room.
I
No.
think Kirk. I was thinking about it because the whole retconning it, where every villain comes from Oscorp, I think had everything to do with the sequel thing that you were bringing up.
What do you
That's
mean?
In other words, that's exactly why they had every one of those villains in that lab.
Oh yeah.
So they could immediately go
Yeah.
to
But what
the
it
Sinister
accomplishes
Six.
the opposite. This was the point that my friend made. If you are trying to make this the setup for a more expansive universe,
But
the
the
worst
whole
thing you can do
universe-
is make everything in the world revolve around one company.
I
Yeah,
totally agree, but
absolutely.
I think that's here's what happened. I mean, the producer thing, which I think your theory is it could link with mine a little bit. I think the producers basically went and watched a bunch of the Marvel movies, and then it's kind of like people who first followed Jesus, and then they wrote like 4 Gospels, and then they're all wildly different. It's like the guys who watched those Marvel movies came away with the total misunderstanding of what makes the Marvel movies work.
Well, it's like, you have, like, speaking of the Dr. Kafka thing. So we got Dr. Kafka.
A little on the nose.
Yeah.
The gloves
And the
jacket.
lipstick and the blue eyeshadow. And but it looks like to me they're like, they got Arnim Zola. We need our own weird Nazi
But that was more of the
German
Tim Burton
scientist.
movie
You
thing.
know? Yeah.
That was more that Tim
It
Burton
became a
thing.
Tim Burton
You guys
movie
are
for
nailing
the
the
second
point right
Is
now.
giving it credit. It's
Yeah, I think
Schumacher
you guys
Batman qualities.
you're on something because this movie borrows from everything else without having its own identity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
the soundtrack is is Christopher
Why?
Reeve's era Superman with the big
Crossed
horns
with-
with pop music and again
pop
we'll get to the
music.
dubstep part.
What was up with that? I was
They're
getting
gonna shoot
scared.
you.
But then like all the colors, like everything was like, filmed really soft, like for certain scenes. I'm like, oh, well, I've seen that in another film. But
Yeah.
then they go to like the action, and it's like, wow, this looks a lot like some of the Batman films that Schumacher directed.
No, it is a Frankenstein film.
It is. Starts listening to a pop song.
Yeah.
And there's a whole. I left out of the theater during that because I couldn't stand it. I was like,
I know.
He curled up on
he was like, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But like this, he was only doing a '90s movie. They don't do that anymore for a reason.
Sadly,
that's what Devin Faraci was saying of Badass Digest. We were reading his article about Spider-Man 2, and he was saying they're making mistakes from the 90s.
Yeah.
It's like these mistakes were made in the 90s. Like, why are you guys still making these rookie mistakes? You know, like,
Because
have we not learned?
I think it's what happens when producers run a movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
When there's some people who kind of go, okay, these are the artists, let's let them make the movie.
Yeah.
We hired this guy or girl or woman, and we believe in them, so let them make the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened
And that's
here.
what it felt like the Winter Soldier, you know? And that's what I'm hoping is going to happen with Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, it's like they're letting this guy do something weird and they're taking a chance, and I love that,
Well,
you
I'm going to
know?
put in my theory I agree with both of you guys' theories, and I want to add to that. I think that it was gross incompetence, basically, across the board. And I feel like I saw this coming from the first Spider-Man. Who was the director of the previous Spider-Man?
Sam Raimi.
The one
Sam
right.
Raimi.
Yeah.
Sam
Okay.
Raimi.
I feel like they haven't had a solid director since Sam Raimi left, and it's really been these studio executives, these producers have been making the movies since then, and they were like, wait a minute, let's just fire Raimi. We don't need a director. Yeah. We'll just make it ourselves.
Well, because I think they nearly killed Raimi on number 3.
No,
they did.
Movie
I mean, Raimi...
who is a proven entity.
That is such a great point. Look at Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan has his crew. He has his guys.
Yeah.
You hire Christopher Nolan, you get his entire crew. They will make you a good movie. You hire Sam Raimi, he's got his crew.
Yeah.
He's got his guys. You hire Sam Raimi, you get his guys, you'll get a good film.
And you got to trust those guys.
Yeah,
but they
you're
don't wanna trust
absolutely right. We're talking about like the patchwork quilt that is this film.
Yeah.
It's like, well, Mark Webb, who do you got? Well, I've got these dudes. That's okay. We've got guys too, and we're gonna.
We're just gonna.
Well, I think Mark Webb was one of their guys internally, and he's.
I mean,
I think it's obvious that this movie was like the second unit director, the third unit director.
Yeah.
We're all just first director. You know what I mean? First unit directors.
Yeah.
I don't blame Mark Webb at all. I really don't blame him at all.
No, and we don't know, so we shouldn't blame anyone for exactly.
I blame.
But I feel like it was a
Jesus.
movie made by a marketing team.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is Spider-Man 3 was ruined by studio interference, and that's why Raimi left originally, because they ruined his
He
movie.
just wanted Sandman. He did not want Venom.
He didn't want Venom, and they made him stick it in there, and it totally sucked, you know, and you could tell that he didn't want to do it, obviously.
And it didn't make any sense.
So the studio ruined the third Spider-Man film. Then they reboot it, which I didn't like the first Spider-Man reboot film. That's just, it wasn't
the first one. They
I
got
didn't like
away
the first.
with
The
more.
second movie was the only one I thought was artistically
Well, for
perfect.
me, I've seen 3 strikes.
From the first ones.
Yeah. Well, it's like the first 2 Raimi films, I don't have a problem with. You know, like they're fun. Like especially
Spider-Man 2 has an
everyone knows Spider-Man 2 is fucking awesome. Like it's just.
Oh, remember I was saying Alvin Sargent. That's the hero. That's the hero who's been in all the Spider-Man movies. Anything you liked in those movies.
Yeah, he's
really
the writer.
Yeah, Alvin Sargent wrote. I think he was this. He might have been one of the only people credited for the script to Spider-Man 2. Mm-hmm. There weren't like 4 or 5 people on Spider-Man 2.
Right.
And he also wrote the majority of the script of the reboot.
Yeah, but
and he wasn't on this
And
one.
I love Spider-Man 2. Like that is almost like the perfect comic book movie for me.
It's far from perfect in it. I feel like the first 2 Spider-Man movies for me they were absolutely mind-blowing at the time, and I'm happy to say that things have changed and we've raised the bar since then in ways that like you go back and you're like they blew the Gwen Stacy bridge gag in the first movie because nobody thought you could get away with really doing it. Yeah. And I love that until today when I saw the movie, I was like, now it's different. We've come so far since then. You could really do it now. And now I don't know exactly how I feel. But
and the whole
Are you
problem,
confused? Are you angry?
I'm confused.
All my feeling. Yeah, I'm with you on this.
The thing with Gwen Stacy that really bothers me as well is like, in the comics, she doesn't know that Peter is Spider-Man. So she doesn't know she's in danger, right? So Spider-Man really is fucking responsible for her death, like because she didn't know.
No, actually
See, I
no,
like
because
it
she made a big
better.
speech
But
saying she was responsible.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They take
This is my choice.
my choice, Peter. It's
my choice, Peter.
And because of that, Spider-Man has no responsibility for her death, so he's still a perfect, lovable character. They didn't do anything to give him a flaw
But
or
he
to make you
stood in her
dislike him.
grave during one long day
Well, it's like,
where
but
it rained and then
you
it
would just
snowed.
be repeating
and then-
Captain Stacy from last time. I liked that they changed that.
I don't know. I just feel like
I didn't want every movie to be.
Here's what I didn't like. Never liked that Mary Jane was made into a nice person, because never in comic book history was was Mary Jane a nice person.
Right. Well, this is my problem with this movie.
She was a crazy theater girl who was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole storyline. There's like a whole old storyline where Harry Osborn gets hooked on pills, and Mary pretty much drives him into it.
Yeah.
And like Harry's so stressed out because Mary Jane is throwing herself at Peter, who's got a girlfriend, that Harry's like, I gotta pop pills.
Yeah. Well, that's a problem. That's a big problem I have with
throwing that out there.
I'm not saying she made him do it. But
You did just literally almost say she practically made him do it.
Yeah, I did.
She kind of made him do it, though.
But
Yeah, she did.
But the bummer with this film, though, is like, the thing that I like about the Marvel movies is that everybody has a flaw to some degree. All the good guys have a flaw. Whereas in this one, Peter is perfect. No flaws. Gwen, no flaws. Aunt May, no flaws. And by having him be more responsible for Gwen's death, that would have given him some sort of like, oh, you did fuck up. Oh. But they're afraid to do that. They don't want to do anything to besmirch this character because they're afraid you're not going to like him. So they have to make everybody cookie cutter perfect, which is not interesting. Tony Stark is interesting because, he's got personal problems.
The other thing that I think that they are really blowing in the comic book movies is the importance of a secret identity. Why you have it.
Yeah.
And I just think it's central to Spider-Man. That he not reveal who he is to the people he loves. Yeah. And I always thought that was a huge mistake. That was a mistake in all the movies. It just happens too fast. Oh, Mary Jane knows.
Yeah.
Gwen knows.
Gwen knows. Yeah. No, I was bothered with that in the first film. I was like, so he's just gonna tell her straight up, like, all just okay.
I mean, it's like Spider-Man's always been a big metaphor. It's a power fantasy, so it's a big he does all these amazing things and makes these wisecracks, but in his daily life,
right, and that's what makes him so tragic and what's so interesting about him. But they kind of take it away, which
doesn't test well.
Yeah, exactly. No, he's got to be cool. We can't have him.
Well, and it's funny because now when you point it out like that, there's nothing about these characters or through the development of the film where I'm rallying behind anybody. Yeah. Like, I'm really not. Yeah. I'm very indifferent about every single person because none of these people, because of the no flaws, and because of the lack of taking chances in the storytelling in this movie, there's no one that you rally behind. There's no growth in these characters. No. There's no, like, at the end, like, the yes or the, oh, this is a game changer. Yeah. Like...
Well, and then you have, on the flip side, you have all the villains who have paper-thin motivations. I mean, it's like...
Yeah. Harry Osborn's was the most... I laughed out loud. Peter comes and he says... he comes to Spider-Man and says...
We're going to start getting into some spoiler territory now, so...
Whatever. I mean, it's like... You can't talk...
Let's do it.
He goes, look, dude... I'm gonna help you out,
but
but we gotta make sure we're safe.
Yeah.
No, I'll kill you.
And he goes, "You're a fraud, Spider-Man. You're a fraud." And then he literally cries into a pillow.
Yeah.
Did you see?
He throws himself onto a couch and cries into a pillow.
Not the
after knocking some stuff off. Yeah, and fucking Electro is just such a joke. I mean, he's like, so you're telling me he's this mild-mannered little weirdo eccentric guy, and then all of a sudden he's on all these big screens and he's in love with the image of himself being on these big screens.
I liked it for a second, but they didn't follow through.
Well, they start playing this odd fucking music while he's
making fun of me.
It's
so weird.
I actually thought it was borderline racist.
A little bit.
I really did. I really did because suddenly he's an angry black man.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a complete switch.
It's just like doesn't fit.
Well, Dr. Kafka's pretty fucking racist if you ask me, but...
Dr. what?
Assuming all Germans are Nazi scientists.
I know, it's like, I'm sorry, Germany. I am so fucking sorry.
I'm a German and Germans never get a pass. It's just historically we can't.
Yeah, but,
It's too soon.
Too soon. It's been a fucking million years.
How about instead of Kafka, maybe Dr. Kant? Or, I mean, just something more obscure. Or Dr. Caligari.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
After this message.
What?
After this message.
After this message, sure.
That message.
Because you don't know what a commercial break is, because you haven't been watching TV your whole life.
Do we have any more nitpicks? Because we can come back to this. I want to get to a certain topic about Spider-Man 2. Okay, we talked about this in previous podcasts. We talked about where does this lead the future of comic book movie franchises, okay? Because we talked about that you've got Fox, you've got Marvel, you got Sony, and we said we're starting into a new era of comic book movies, right? After post-Adventures.
Yeah.
So which one of these is going to drop the ball the hardest? And we were making our bets last time. And from this, I'm saying that the Spider-Man franchise, Sony is the one that they're dropping the ball the hardest.
By the way, I'm imploring you, don't see this movie. Don't give these people money.
Okay, we were gonna go and hopefully just make fun of it, and it was so bad that we couldn't even enjoy making fun of it.
Yeah. Dude, I have a kid, and when you're a single father, you don't know what the hell to say to your kid half the time, so you're like, let's go to a movie.
Right.
Yeah, right? I didn't even do that. I didn't even do the Disneyland dad thing and take him to the movie because I didn't want my son to see it. I didn't want him to see it.
Yeah.
It's like I thought it was stupid.
I agree with your parenting. I would do the same thing.
If I have a good parent, I will never see the first Star Wars prequels.
Oh, yeah.
They will never see that.
No.
You can't unsee it though. My kid does.
That's why my kids will never ever see those films. Yeah, but I think what T-Bone's saying, we are going to head towards comic book movie fatigue.
Yeah.
What's worse is it's actually going to be Fox and Sony's fault that we see the comic book fatigue.
Yeah, man.
I mean, if you make a good movie...
plus DC.
Dude, it's like when Nirvana, they get back to the 90s, which were awesome.
Right.
90s were the best.
I don't want anyone ragging on the 90s anymore, by the way.
Yeah.
The
90s were
you had Nirvana, right? And then out of Nirvana came Candlebox.
Is that a band?
Come on, man. You remember Candlebox.
As a child of the 90s, that's why I find it so funny. I get you.
Wait, what's Candlebox?
Exactly.
I'm from the 90s.
It's just in other words, you basically had one band that was sort of like, how did they make it huge? I don't know. They're just really good. We got to copy that style.
Yeah.
And then you get sort of these sort of watered down, bastardized versions of Nirvana.
This is another theory I have about this whole thing too. It's like, okay, so I think of this as a race. You have Marvel leading the pack, still going strong.
It's an arms race.
Yes, it is. It's like a nuclear arms race.
Then you have DC and Fox. And they're kind of slapping at each other. They're kind of almost neck and neck, but I think Fox is a little bit further because they've just made more films, so they have more experience. Whereas you have Sony that's just like in the end of the fucking thing, it's like, I'm trying to catch up with all these assholes. But I really feel like, I don't know, maybe just Sony is just jealous of Marvel so much that maybe they're willing to just ruin the whole superhero franchise for everybody by making such terrible films that now Marvel will never be able to make money either because they're just so jealous.
Because what happens at the end of a nuclear war? When you start a nuclear war, what happens? Mutually assured destruction.
It's just like Frankie Goes to Hollywood said, war, what is it good for?
He did.
Hello, the Two Tribes video is one of the most brilliant videos ever made.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right. Like, let's just poison the well.
Let's just poison the well.
But you know what's weird is that I think Fantastic Four will not be made.
I hope
and
not.
And revert back to Marvel.
God! I want
that is what the rumors are. Because I'm deep.
Did everyone just see Amy's reaction on that? That was awesome and genuine.
Bring them home!
Thank you.
Bring them all home.
They will
fucking X-Men home and do whatever you want with the rest of them.
They'll keep hitting that pinata as long as the candy comes out of it, and then once nothing comes out of it, they'll give it up.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like they're never going to give up Spider-Man.
That's what I'm afraid of. All the producers are patting themselves on the back right now. Like, we did it again, guys! Yeah!
$91 million
opening weekend.
Well, it's diminishing returns. It's like DC Comics relaunching itself every 5 years. It's like you can't keep relaunching Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That's going to
Yeah, you're gonna ruin your shit.
I think the fatigue's already there.
Well, it's like, yeah.
I mean, let's put it this way. I know that the average person, and granted, this is an entire panel of giant nerds, but we
speak for yourself, man.
You're very cool.
I'm
the rest
cool.
of us.
Darren's the cool one.
I'm really excited that I get to hang out with you.
Well, you know what's gonna happen on the Plopcast, and then someone's gonna make a comment. Darren's the dork. That guy is a dork.
But
all right, I just called it.
But I think
I got my first fake nerd
it is going to happen.
Comment. It
but
was awesome.
Yes.
All right. Welcome to the club.
I know. I've been getting a couple of those lately. I don't know. It's been going around.
But as giant nerds who are constantly looking forward to these films and really have like a love and understanding these characters.
We're going to separate you two.
I am noticing that the average person, the average moviegoer who wouldn't quite understand the whole idea of who has the rights to what is now becoming self-aware.
Yes.
The average moviegoer is going, oh, is it a Marvel production?
Are they becoming self-aware?
Yes, they are.
True?
They know the difference. They know the difference.
They are learning.
I hope so.
How many?
No, they do. I hear
because
people.
before Spider-Man, you see the Marvel logo.
Right.
So
You-
I think people think it's the Marvel company.
You do, but here's the thing. In the 70s, nobody looked at film grosses. They never reported film grosses.
Right.
That
Yeah.
never happened. That happened started in the 80s. The average moviegoer is so savvy. They really know their shit.
Yeah.
And they're impressive. I mean, they know more about how much the movie made, about who produced it. I mean, I think so anyway.
The general level of media literacy has risen to the point where it might actually be harder to get away with shit.
Yeah, because I mean,
in the long term.
I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Veep, but it's brilliant.
I've heard that.
I want to watch it. I love her.
It's a great sort of. It really shows how the media cycle has sort of started just going so fast that it literally has become farce.
Yeah.
And to me, what was going to ruin these movies is the fact that people know too much.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think the fact that people know too much and find things out before the movies come out and stuff.
Well, all the
I think it
hype
really.
I agree. I think that's absolutely
I
damaging.
think we got a spoiler culture that really ruins
Everything?
Um,
No one should be seeing set photographs.
Absolutely. I
Yes.
can't
Yeah,
avoid spoilers
that
now.
was-
Doing my job, I'm trying to avoid them, and I can't avoid seeing them.
You knew
know.
when Spider-Man, you knew when this movie came out, you knew what was going to happen. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
maybe not exactly the beats of how they were going to get
Yeah,
there,
but-
but you knew what was going to happen.
That's why the Rhino thing is a big weird thing to everyone, because they kept advertising it like he was a major
And he's in the very, very beginning, and then he's in the very, very end. For
So
just,
I got an idea. Let's get Sir John Gielgud to play the Rhino. And they give Paul Giamatti.
I didn't figure out it was Paul Giamatti until the end.
I know they could have had anybody with a tattoo on their forehead.
it was so bizarre. Good for you, Paul Giamatti, getting that money and getting out. I hope that he doesn't have to come back for the Sinister Six movie and embarrass himself like Jamie Foxx. But
He's
Hardcore
already
Paul
signed.
Giamatti fans are going to be disappointed.
I'm just glad Paul Thomas Anderson not Paul Thomas Anderson. The celebrity just passed away. He's like one of my favorite actors.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I'm glad Philip Seymour Hoffman never made a superhero movie.
Yes.
No, I'm just trying to think about who he should play.
I know. I was thinking, who in the Marvel universe should he play?
Well, Paul Giamatti
MODOK.
is like to me they're like similar.
Yeah, Philip Seymour Hoffman as MODOK, I would be okay with.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Oh.
She on board like 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Do
Hold on, no, I'm already.
you know that
There.
my best friend calls me MODOK because of my large head?
I did not know that.
My large Germanic head.
Have you also designed only for killing?
Obviously. And then my son, whose name is Brody, I call him Brodock. I'm like, come on, right? Come on, up high. Thanks. Thank you.
Have you made a little MODOK thing for your head for Halloween, with the little baby legs hanging out?
I need to do that.
Wait,
Yeah.
I'll get you one.
Yep.
Wait,
Wait, really? Weird. Okay.
Yeah. So,
But thank you.
Spider Balls 2.
Spider balls.
Is there anything else
There's
to say
a
about
kid at my store. He's a junior,
Here's-
senior in high school, and he came in last week, and
Oh,
he
he's
was like,
so excited.
I broke down and I downloaded it because I'm weak. It's the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. And I'm just like,
It's like, oh, honey.
What?
Oh,
want them
honey.
to.
I know. When I was
My brother, who we never agree on anything anymore. It's a huge problem. And he's got a movie club thing. No, I'm good. He's got
So good, thank you.
he's got a movie club thing on Facebook, and so every time I post about a movie, I disagree with my brother. And I was like, "There's no way my brother's gonna like this movie. I mean, no way." And he raved about it.
Oh, no.
And I was like, "What? It too?"
I liked it for like half the movie sitting there, but I can't defend it now.
It's the first third of it, maybe to half, it's like, oh.
To me, there was a good movie. There
It
was
got worse as we went along.
Yeah,
There was a
it
good
did.
movie somewhere in there. If they had just picked.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
okay.
I had to
So
be.
I kind of want to bring up, because I'm looking over. We've had this conversation like 3 times already. But one of the other things we were talking about, the movie never. You said it. The movie always told you how you were supposed to feel.
Yeah, it never showed
And it
you
never
anything.
showed you
They always
why.
told you.
Yeah,
Always told you. It
the
forced.
the music was forcing you to feel sentimental.
No,
Yeah.
to me it was like watching Spielberg's Amistad, where I had the John Williams score telling me I should cry now. I listen to the speech now. You know what I mean? Like,
okay, side
at the
note
very end,
about
the film does that too.
The double meaning speech thing is one of my favorite devices.
Yeah.
Like, I love it when you have a good, like, this is an unrelated thing and we're going to bring it back at the end after the sad thing happens. But in order for that to work, your first mission is that the graduation speech needs to be believable as a graduation speech.
Right.
Then you worry about the subtext.
If
the words that you're saying make no sense at all in a graduation speech, maybe rework.
Yeah, talking about mortality.
I got it. If we were okay, back in time, we're the screenwriters. A good screenwriter, you don't show the speech because Peter shows up late.
Yeah.
He never sees the speech.
Yeah.
He sees the speech later. Also, somebody shooting the speech would have a handheld.
But yes.
By the way.
Like, I kind of approve of seeing some of the speech just because for the people who don't know what's coming, you want to have that repeat value.
No, you have
like,
just a couple, you have literally like a snippet of like 20 seconds of it. And not enough to really know what the full gist of the speech was.
Right.
The good example of what Amy's talking about.
Oh, that would be amazing. Like, part of the message, and then the other half of the message arrives later, and like...
You know what I mean? Like when you're making a great screenplay, it's just that little touch that a moviegoer goes like,
Like, just like in Dark Knight, when Harvey Dent meets Alfred at the fundraiser, and he goes, what's her name that dies?
Rachel.
Goes,
that says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, Rachel, but no, but...
What's her name that dies?
But it's a really great thing because he goes, so Rachel's told me that you've known her entire life. He goes, not quite yet.
Yeah, not quite yet,
not
sir.
quite yet.
Like, she's still,
Like, she's not
quite
and
yet.
then later on, she dies. And you go back, and like you're talking about, like, that was that little thing, like,
he did know her for her entire life.
And honestly, if I were making this movie, which I never will, and I'll never write a Hollywood movie, but let's imagine that Aaron is writing a Hollywood movie, I would have taken away Electro and all that stuff and made it a movie about Harry and Peter.
Absolutely.
Which we haven't yet complimented that we actually... The kid from Chronicle. Good job, kid.
He's an amazing actor.
And
that kid's really good.
And I feel so
He wasn't
bad
good in this
that
movie because I think
not his fault.
He knew he was in a bad comic book movie.
It's not
Their
his
bonding, though, I found very believable.
Place
I
Beyond
liked
the
their
Pines,
bonding.
folks.
Although the skipping stones thing was a
This is the quality
little...
of a movie where they put a scene where kids skip stones in it.
Yeah.
Let's go
because
down
it's
to
1950,
a part of the
2000.
ocean that no New Yorker is allowed to go to.
That's just like a boardroom meeting, like what we're doing right now. It's like, what do we have to do? How about skipping stones? Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine.
But you know, like, I mean, this is my final. So this is like what's wrong with the movie is like the scene where Peter finds out, where he finds his dad's Commodore 600 in the subway, and
which, by the way, I was half expecting the Ninja Turtles to come out of the subway.
That would, and I'll tell you something. If Sony was making the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they would have put that in there.
It would have happened.
Damn, shame on you, Sony. The whole thing is if they had taken that scene where Peter finds out that only people with his father's DNA won't die from it. If they had put that scene 20 minutes earlier, then the scene where Peter goes as Spider-Man.
Who says, I can't give you my blood, we need to work this out.
Yeah, and he goes, why can't you give me the blood?
Yeah, and then he would have...
I can't tell him why. If they had thought balloons like they did in the old... He'd be like, I can't tell Harry.
I can't
He's my
tell
best
him.
friend.
Yeah.
But I can't tell him because if I tell him, then he'll find out I'm Peter Parker.
Yeah.
And then it would have made sense that Harry would have called him a fraud and
right, and then also it's like you're not sensitive to the fact that this guy was a fucking secret identity. He doesn't want his DNA on file at Oscorp.
At Oscorp.
Who can find out who he is through,
super trustworthy all
like
the time,
you know
Oscorp.
it's like come on now.
And then other things because the movie was so rushed in parts because you didn't let any of the characters develop.
Yeah.
Again, spoiler
and yet
territory.
the movie was like 2 hours
Harry
and 40 minutes.
Gets the blood, finds out that they have it.
Gets the venom.
Gets the venom.
Yeah.
I think. By the way, I like to keep emphasizing that it was venom. Interesting. But then he gets the suit, which is just like by happenstance. Like, by the way, we make a bunch of awesome shit at
Also, that window
Oscorp.
opened.
Yes.
Yeah, and so he gets into the suit, and I'm trying to figure out because that scene is so bad. Like, was the venom curing him, or was it killing him? But then he got into the suit,
and the suit was curing
and the suit started to cure him.
Yeah.
Like the
And
whole
if you
scene
need, and if
was
you
like
need a
Convoluted.
What
If
they
you-
said was that the suit was keeping him alive.
Yeah.
right, yeah,
And then they went back on their logic
right, and
later
said,
on in
and
the
then
movie.
and then he's
So-
like, it comes and goes.
yeah. So wait, it's
Yeah.
a combination of Tune in 2 years when we do another movie. We'll explain it then.
No, I don't care.
I think literally the clock falling apart and the clockworks falling onto the screen is like the most symbolic of how this movie is.
Oh, but point out the awesome thing.
Okay,
so the movie
Mega Nerd. Yeah. By the way, the reason this is so cool is because if you guys remember, 19 and T-Bone totally got my Amazing Spider-Man 121 signed by Stan Lee.
What?
I did.
I have it. It's in my.
Yeah, Stan doesn't sign anything.
When that scene, but when that scene ends and the clock is spinning out of control and all the gears are falling apart, the clock strikes 121 when the scene ends, and that is a very monumental issue.
Oh well, never mind. That makes the movie good.
Yeah,
I know.
I'm glad you guys got that in.
I'm sitting through 2.5 hours of crap, and then I noticed that I was like, "Oh, this sucks. This sucks." Hey, not bad.
Well, that's the most frustrating part, though, is where you see something that's good in a movie that's such a waste.
Yeah, we got the absolute right Gwen Stacy. We got
you guys are wasting filet mignon.
Yeah, and they
Andrew Garfield literally looks like Steve Ditko's Spider-Man walked off the page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't always act like him because they write him kind of inconsistently, but when he told his aunt, like, don't get that twisted. Part of me was like, is this how all 15-year-olds talk now, or am I confused?
Right.
Yeah,
I guess
service thing. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I think really it's what this movie comes down to. The reason it's so bad is because there were a lot of really good things about it.
Yeah.
There were things they nailed.
Exactly.
And then it does a 180 when they're trying to shoehorn in the rest of the franchise that they're trying to create.
It's not like watching Life Force. You know what I mean? Because that movie's so bad, it circles back around to good. Because that's a fact. That's a scientific principle. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's the Kafka principle.
One thing I didn't expect to like is I liked the electro effect, and I didn't think that I was going to like it.
The way he attacks things, or the way he looked?
Departicalizing into electricity.
Yeah, and wasn't it cool how he made that costume?
I know.
With the
God damn it! I hate that. That is my nitpick. Okay, of all time.
Did he make a meter that goes in his own head?
Well, they put that in. I guess they put that in there.
Once a dude pulls a Doc Manhattan, he's not going to make a costume.
Okay, again, borrowing from other films, that was exactly Dr. Manhattan.
That's what I was about to say, though. Yeah. Were they not stealing from Dr. Manhattan when they were doing that?
Well, the thing is, though, I hate it when people materialize with fucking clothes on. Okay, fucking.
White
Queen is not gonna fucking do it. You know, it's like, but it's crazy to me.
Yeah, but then everyone bitches about the swinging blue penis in Watchmen.
I loved it.
Exactly.
Deal with it.
Deal with the penis.
Well, there's a lot of penis.
Dude, big blue dong flies in movies.
No. In the movies, or not even just in the movies, in our culture, it's like you can't ever show a dick, but like you can show tits all the time and all this. Oh, that's fine.
Dude, I'll draw a penis right now for the Plopcast. I'll do it right now.
Half of our population owns one, and the other half has seen it. So what are we fucking scared of?
I don't understand sidebar, penis. In film.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think...
but Harvey Keitel walking around with this, which he's flapped his penis in the piano. He flapped his penis in Bad Lieutenant. You do not want to see that on film.
I don't know.
That's a Harvey Keitel thing, man.
Well, he's doing his Harvey Keitel thing, but I think that we shouldn't discriminate.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a good penis story here.
Penis story too about Jamie Foxx.
All right, guys, let's do all the penis stories.
Pillow Book. There's a movie called The Pillow Book with Ewan McGregor. It was an art house movie that came out in the 90s, and I was sitting there with my girlfriend and my best friend, and Ewan McGregor walks on screen holding this woman, and he's totally nude, and his penis is literally swaying in the wind. And my voice went up like an octave, and I went, oh my God!
Wow.
Like, in the film.
Didn't it show his penis was also in Trainspotting?
Trainspotting.
Yeah, but you only saw silhouette of penis.
Yeah.
No.
Silhouette of I've watched Trainspotting a million times.
Okay.
And because it was the 90s, and I memorized the speech.
All right, guys,
because
internet,
awesome.
I need you to freeze frame the scene from Trainspotting. Let's find out just exactly
penis silhouette,
how much Ewan McGregor penis is in that movie.
Mr. Skin has a website. I have just one.
You're doing girls a favor if you do this. So, yeah. Rock it.
I don't know. I don't know why we're so terrified of nudity in our
so we
culture.
spent almost over an hour now talking about Spider-Man 2.
Right,
we need to wrap
move
this
on.
up. But last thing, what would you do if you were Sony after this disaster, in our opinions? What would you do with the Spider-Man franchise?
Sell it back to Marvel for billions of dollars.
Yes.
Okay, what would you do realistically, though, if your stockholders are insisting on you making money from Spider-Man? Because Spider-Man is the number one most money-making of all comic book movie franchises.
I would Wolf of Wall Street that franchise. just overdo it and just keep doing it and keep milking that cow until we all die of a cardiac arrest.
I think that's exactly what they are doing.
So, yeah, that's
what I would do. I mean, wouldn't you?
I would get a real fucking director to do it, who had a real vision and let them do something.
Like I said, somebody who has
like Jodorowsky.
Yes.
I could do Spider-Man. I've never read it, but I love Spider-Man.
And then his webbing gives you psychedelic drug.
Yeah, there we go.
Like feelings. Like,
he can do some weird stuff with the spider sense. You know what I would like to see? Man spider. Let's do some weird, like him growing more arms and like getting all fucked up and stuff.
Wolf, man spider, man thing.
Let's do it.
One film.
I will say that Sony, I'm definitely voting Sony most likely to bring in the Clone Saga.
Huh.
Yeah. the comic nerds are like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then the funny thing is the same thing will happen. Once they do the Clone Saga, everyone will stop going to comic book movies. Like everyone deserted.
Comic books.
Yeah.
It went from like the charts are hilarious on the Clone Saga in the Spider-Man comics, where like I really didn't realize that they were like up and down, but it settled it. I'm making this number up now, but like 800,000 was a standard distribution, and then it was just like boom down to 200.
But there is actually there's actually a very interesting.
It might be 5 and not 8.
It's a very interesting historical precedent you're talking about, and I think the same thing will happen to movies.
Yeah,
they will burn people out, and comic book movies will go through like a decade of.
Yeah.
And then they'll go, nobody makes Westerns anymore.
Definitely.
It'll be like...
That's another thing we were saying in the last podcast. We were saying, I do not see a comic book movie utopia happening in the next 5 years.
No, because they'll ruin it. But then we might have another... I mean, honestly, this is my opinion, but I mean, the second Batman movie by Nolan, I think, is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It's just as a movie.
Oh, no, it's...
I don't know anyone that disagrees with you here.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, if more movies like that are made...
Yeah, if they copy the formula like they want to, with everything...
Well, that was not... I mean, the thing was...
The formula is talent and trust.
The thing was,
that's what you need
interestingly enough,
and understanding your material.
I was talking about making a really dark movie all the time.
I know
forcing a dark movie on it.
I know, like it's just it works for Batman. It doesn't work for everybody else. Like you can't.
I know you're purposely not bringing up Superman.
You can't Nolanize everything. But they're doing it. But they're doing it with fucking X-Men. You know, I mean, it's like.
It's okay. I mean, look, it'll go through. Comic books, the source material is great, and if you get a great director, you get a good movie.
Yeah.
I mean, X-Men First Class, that's one of my favorite comic book movies. Dark Knight, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this recent Captain America, come on.
Oh my God, Winter Soldier.
Give it to Marvel.
Winter Soldier.
That's my answer to what I would do if I were Sony.
We just had a month ago
a
great, absolutely better than we could ever expect Captain America.
But see, Marvel's proving something because nobody here is against making money.
Yeah.
We just don't happen to have any. Well, except for you, Danica, you have a lot of money.
Oh, I'm loaded.
But I mean, it's we deserve. I mean, those kind of movies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like better movies, and we can. I think we'll have great movies, but I think we're gonna have more shit.
Yeah. Well,
just because they.
Red Letter Media brought up a funny point, and they were saying like, you know how right now there's like the 99% and the 1%. They were like, that's gonna be how it is with comic book movies, where it's like just Marvel makes all the money and then there's the 99%, you know, and it's like you have the 1% Marvel.
In that case, they'll deserve it because they actually have made a quality.
Yeah, the thing is you can. Marvel has proved
like the one time where merit is actually rewarded with money.
You can make money and make a good product.
Yes, absolutely.
They are not like mutually exclusive, like, and that's what pisses me off. Yeah. But I mean, in a way, as much as DC hasn't latched onto the continuity of the Marvel movies, they have embraced a different aesthetic, which is the auteur aesthetic, which is completely different from Marvel. Like from Marvel,
Snyder's an auteur?
Whether you like him or not, I dislike.
I will agree with you. I don't like him, and I don't like his films, but I will agree that at least it was a Snyder movie.
It was.
This was not a Mark Webb movie. This was a.
And Chris Nolan, it was a Nolan movie, and the first Superman franchise. With who was the director? I'm getting old. Yeah,
Richard Donner.
Yeah, Richard Donner. Those were Richard Donner movies. I mean,
I like movies like a Quentin Tarantino movie. You can watch the movie without knowing who directed it, or a Spielberg movie. I feel like you can point those people out and know it, but not this. Movies like this, you don't know who made it. Nobody made it. It looks like it.
The studio made it.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we've covered this subject too much. We need to move on to comic books so we'll have enough time to work it in.
Well, what about Jodo?
Oh, no. Jodoverse, yeah.
Okay, all right. Comic books first, then.
Let's take a bathroom break, though.
All right,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
How did you know?
That movie sucked.
And we're back.
Yay!
Okay, so we forgot one last thing about Spider-Man 2 that we have to finish.
Which I thought it was really funny.
Yes, this is fascinating that we all realized that after the movie we felt dirty.
So dirty.
Without talking to each other, that we had to do a palate cleanser and
All
watch
of us-
a different movie. So
Yes.
what did you guys watch?
Okay,
Shape
you lead the-
When I got home, I definitely was half a pint of Haagen-Dazs and Empire Strikes Back.
Nice.
And I did that maybe 10 minutes after I walked out of the theater.
Yeah. We Tyson and I, we did Cabin in the Woods. And which I realized has a lot of Scooby-Doo things going on in it. And I was like, I love Scooby-Doo growing up. And I was like, oh my God, like this is totally Scooby-Doo. And Shaggy is the
archetype,
stoner,
yeah.
and he fucking is like saves the day.
Well, it's the
so
Whedon
amazing.
formula. You get the Scooby gang.
I know.
Scooby gang,
And I'm so
Which
glad
is also
that we
the
did.
X-Men.
Yeah. Well, not according to Fox, but...
Well, remember when Buffy did the Dark Phoenix saga?
What?
Dark Willow?
Oh, that's right!
Oh. You're right.
You go next.
Yeah, she's just got
What
out
was
of
your
Spider-Man.
palate cleanser, Darren?
I watched a great movie that's The Croupier. That was Clive Owen's first starring role that got really big.
Ooh.
90s movie. Great film about a guy who is a writer and he becomes a croupier because it's what he knows. And then he becomes the most amoral a-hole. And he narrates the whole movie. And it's just great noir. But noir always cleanses my palate.
The whole point is like we all went to movies that we knew that we were gonna like again.
I needed to watch a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
And I just like...
What did you say you watched?
Amy, what are
Empire
you
Strikes
going to
Back.
watch? Because Amy just watched Spider-Man
I
2
came
right before she
straight
came
Amy is the
here.
dirtiest one here.
Yeah, I've not been cleansed. I don't know, and that's why I'm still not sure what I
Maybe
think
this
about
is
the
your
movie, 'cause
palate
it's all
cleanser.
kind of-
Yeah, this is your palate cleanser.
It's the Plopcast is my recovery.
Okay, all right.
Cool.
Well, we all feel better then. Okay, so let's talk about Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh my
and
gosh.
Jodorowskyverse comics.
Okay, so how do we want to start this? Darren, we were talking about Jodorowsky's Dune. I was telling you what we were talking about the Plopcast.
Yeah.
And we discovered that all of the things that I've experienced from this man, all of his works that I've experienced, are completely different from all the things that you've experienced.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah.
And that is how awesome Jodorowsky is.
It's like everyone's experienced Jodorowsky in some way.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't... Here's the thing. You want to know something really funny? I didn't know that the filmmaker Jodorowsky was the comic book writer Jodorowsky.
Really?
Until like a year ago.
That is awesome. That's just a testament
Why would he? Why would he be? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it just seemed weird to me.
Yeah, no, he is such a fascinating fucking artist. I could talk about that dude for a million years. I just finished reading one of his books called Psychomagic, the power of shamanic, like the shamanic therapy that he's developed. And I know that I've said this before a million times, and I'll say it again now, but in my trinity of weird comic book occultist writers, he's like the Holy Spirit in that situation. Because you have Alan Moore, father, Morrison, son, Jesus, and then you have Jodorowsky, who's just the weird Holy Spirit that people don't understand.
You know what? That's brilliant.
You know?
Even though the whole idea of the Trinity is kind of funny.
Well, and they're all
No, it fits, right?
Yeah,
but it totally fits. And
No. They're all different guys, but they're the same.
But they're the
guy.
same.
Yes, like
But they're different.
Yes,
But the same.
and that's what's so beautiful about all of them. and you know how so you have Alan Moore, who is a ceremonial magician. Mm-hmm. Then you have Morrison, who is a chaos magician. Mm-hmm. And Jodorowsky has developed his own system called psychomagic. So he's a psycho
Yeah,
magician.
he's heavily into the tarot.
Yeah, no, he helped to restore the Tarot of Marseille, which that's the next book I'm going to buy from him, because I too am a student of the tarot. I think it's a really interesting
You gotta meet my buddy Dan. He's a monster tarot guy.
Really?
Yes.
What's his deck? Is he like a Thoth guy?
He's used all of the decks.
Them? Yeah. See,
he's used all of them.
I'm still on the Rider-Waite situation. I'm still kind of doing that one.
Do you have Dan has a custom-made leather tarot case. That is do you ever see the movie House?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not the one with William Catt. The Asian one.
No, I have it on the Criterion collection.
He's got a custom-made leather pouch of that animal.
Shut up.
No, I won't.
No, the cat, the little, yes,
oh, that's so cool.
With his deck in it. I don't know. He favors the Crowley.
The Thoth deck.
Yeah.
The
or Crowley. I'm sorry, Crowley is what you say.
Semantics, whatever. It's
no.
fine.
Dan always gets mad about that.
Well, the Thoth deck is kind of like the heavy hitter because like Crowley like really has a ton of stuff going on in there. Like it's like ridiculous, like the connections that he has going on between all these different. I don't know. It's hard to explain. But I'm, like I said, I'm still on the kind of writer wait. I don't know. I like it. Because I like Pamela Coleman Smith, who illustrated those. I don't know. I love her. And I love her story. And I love these little illustrations. They're so perfect. And
I'm just more the Crowley thing because of David Bowie. Yeah. I think David Bowie is like Jodorowsky in a lot of ways in the sense of like everyone has a David Bowie.
Yeah.
And they might not have the same David Bowie.
Right,
but everyone somehow has a David Bowie.
Yeah.
Bowie,
and Bowie was heavy into the tarot when he was snorting coke in like 76, doing Station to Station. And he's like, the return of the Thin White Duke. And and the whole song he's saying Crowley and he's talking about the tarot.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But
Crowley's Tarot is a masterpiece. I mean, it really is like very extremely well thought out.
But why are we talking about Jodorowsky?
But we saw Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary that came out. A couple of us have seen it.
Another admission.
Yes.
I had no idea that he was going to make a movie called Dune.
No one did.
I never knew.
I had because I'd done a little bit of research about him. I had heard about it on his Wikipedia, you know. But I was just like, I'm a big Dune person too. Like I love Dune, so it's like I always do Dune research type stuff. So I knew about it, but I didn't know all the details, you know. So this movie just really filled in everything that I ever wanted to know about it, and it really is the greatest movie never made. It
really is, and I walked away blown away because what really made it a movie that even though the movie wasn't made, that movie has a footprint. Because of all the artists that he gathered together to make the movie.
I mean, he was the first one to come to H.R. Giger and say, hey, you want to work on some movie art? The first one.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And he had Mobius, the greatest French artist of all time, do the storyboards. Oh. And they weren't even storyboards. It was the movie. And when I saw that, they do this amazing thing in the movie where they literally put the art on screen.
Yeah, and they show you.
It's unbelievable.
Like, no, that's what it's going to look like.
The thing is, he had never done storyboards before either.
No, cool. None of them had ever done it. I mean, that's the amazing thing about Jodorowsky is he's so. I mean, to call him enthusiastic is an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just like, I get these people, I look, and I see. And
they're my spiritual warriors.
They're my spiritual warriors. Yeah. And he went to the guy who did, like, 2001.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Trumbull.
And he goes, I did not like him. He did not have the spirit.
He did not. He
didn't have the spirit. And he goes, I see Dark Star. I see the movie Dark Star. Low budget movie.
Yeah.
And he goes, that is my warrior.
Yeah.
That is my warrior.
It's so
he gets like H.R. Giger,
Chris Foss,
Dan O'Bannon.
Dan O'Bannon. Chris Foss, who was just doing illustrations for sci-fi cover novels.
Yes. I get my next
had Dali, Salvador Dali.
Yeah. And the whole story about how he got Salvador Dali is just so interesting.
He's this amazing momentum machine. That's what blows me away is how close they came to making that movie. They were $5 million away from making that movie.
$5 million away. That's it.
And it would have changed everything. We wouldn't be talking about Star Wars right now.
We would not be talking about
theories of why they turned him down when they were that close to getting it done.
Yeah.
And what was our theory?
Well, you know, I was talking to my therapist about it.
I talked to my therapist about it too.
You know, and she was telling me, she's like, she was so spot on. She was instantly like, she didn't let them participate. Or he didn't let them participate. He went to them and he said, I already have this stuff done. And he made them feel like money men. You know, and they don't want to feel, even though they are money men, they don't want to feel that way. They want to feel like they're creative. They're a part of the process. And he cut them out of that completely.
He read this huge book where it was almost fully finished and ready to be made. He'd done all the pre-production.
It's like a 400-page book.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you know why? Because he is a great gatherer of artists.
Yeah.
But
he
can't help but spit in the face of the money men.
I loved in the movie
this
where
is a really awkward parallel to our entire Spider-Man discussion.
Oh, I know, right?
About how
but in a way,
artists all money men
work on it without the money men.
Yeah.
That's what you get. No
well, it's
money
like
at all.
I love the part where he's like, this devil in our pockets, and he pulls out, his money, and he's like, this devil in our pockets that makes slaves of us all, that takes away our dignity. And it was just like, oh, you're so right. Like,
he is right. And the weird thing is you have to, the argument can be made that he did the right thing.
Yeah.
Maybe the movie didn't get made, but in a way it did get made. He talks about how the movie has a footprint, how it has a signature, and how it has a legacy. And a pretty much modern sci-fi, Blade Runner, Alien, which used designs from the Dune time. I mean,
Star Wars, The Fifth Element.
Star Wars, Fifth Element. Like, none of these things would have existed. Modern sci-fi as we know it wouldn't have existed without Dune, the movie no one...
Nor would his comic books exist.
Yeah.
Novels exist, because that process of working with Mobius, the storyboard process obviously led to him knowing how to make a comic book.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, he just won't he wouldn't compromise, and I have to respect him for that. I mean, as much as we all would compromise, because I would. I mean, maybe I wouldn't. I might be the moron who wouldn't.
To get it made, you would have to compromise,
because that's what art is. The artistic process is compromise. If you bring in other people,
and he was like, no.
I've worked on a TV show before where the person in charge did not compromise with the studio producers, and I saw them shut it down on him.
And it was shut down.
But the weird thing about the movie is he never made the movie, and at the end of the movie, he is talking to the camera. He's so impassioned, and he's like, "I not make the movie. It does not matter. If you have art, if you have something to do, you should write a poem every day. You should. If you have something to say, you should say it. Why should you not say it? You should say it." And then he goes, "Try, and he says it like 5-6 times.
And during the whole thing, like, was it next to impossible to not get excited along with him?
I know.
No, I would have followed. You know what? I would have followed that guy to Jonestown.
I would have drank the Kool-Aid.
Because in a way, he was kind of.
He's a cult leader in a way.
I mean, because the other thing.
Well, I mean, he is in Paris. I mean, he has the Mystic Cabaret that I don't know if he does it anymore, but he used to do a weekly conference of 500 people every single week talking about whatever weird stuff he wanted to talk about that week.
Like, I mean, it was just watching
people
him.
Would come every week.
Like it's almost like when I watch Alan Moore speak. Like, his words are so loaded.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And, like, Jodorowsky is the same way. It was just, I was hanging on to it.
Because he's somebody who's living so close to... I mean, to me, most of his movies, especially Holy Mountain, are about sort of the artifice of reality.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly.
I mean,
he created he created a panic surrealist theater movement in Mexico. Like, he was like all in the Dadaist whole situation, the whole surrealist area.
Was that Theater of Cruelty Artaud, or was that after that?
Artaud was way before.
Okay, so he was. Sorry, I was trying to remember this interview. I guess he was influenced by Theater of Cruelty in his Mexican theater stuff. Okay.
Yeah, and he's just like that dude is just a font of.
But the thing is he's not. I mean, the key about the ending to the movie is. It's a challenge. It's a bit of a slap in the face to you and to me and to anyone who has any artistic impulses. So you kind of walk away because he is in a long line of people like Antoine Artaud. And I mean, he's not original. He's not new. That's not what the point is. The point is he's a real artist and he's always done what he wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I felt inspired when the movie ended. And then I got really depressed.
I know.
I got really depressed.
I was depressed for days. Like I said, I was talking to my therapist about it. Like, I was like, this movie is freaking me the fuck out right now because I see that for myself. Like, I see that happening to myself. And I felt his heartbreak. Like, I felt that in a past life, and I'm going to feel it again. Yeah. You know? And
in a way, it's kind of like he kind of like reaches outside of the screen and like knocks on your forehead and goes, "I see you."
Yeah. No, he does though.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I mean
that's what I was trying to convey. Like I said, the loaded words. Like you start getting rallying behind him. You're like, yes, that weird, strange fourth wall being broken down.
The only other time,
well, I mean, you watch one of his films,
he's talking to me.
And you'll feel uncomfortable for days. I mean,
no, the only other time I felt like that was when I had like a 30-minute conversation with Grant Morrison. In 2000 and
you lived to survive it.
It was one of the most amazing conversations I've ever had.
Yeah.
I talked to Grant Morrison about life, death. You know, my best friend had just died.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's not gone.
Yeah.
You know, however, Grant, I'm not doing a good Grant at all, but he's like, he's not gone.
Yeah.
There's like a centipede trail, like linking back to that time. So the person in 1991 is still alive, and he's talking to the person in 2008.
Yeah.
You know, he's always alive every moment. You know what I mean? Like, and then I'm just like, Grant Morrison, I love you so much.
No, it's I mean, like reading this book about psychomagic. I mean, it really talks more about him and where he's come from and what he's done and the things and the people he's studied under. I mean, he studied under Zen masters. He studied with a crazy, amazing folk healer named Pachita from Mexico, like who was just this insane. Like she did all these surgeries on people, and it's like, and it, you know, people are always like, oh, you know, that's a charlatanism. But he's like, but if it was, it worked. And I don't know how she did the stuff that she did. Like, I have no clue how she pulled this off. You know, like I can't say whether she was a fraud or not, but I do know that she helped people. And he calls things like that a sacred trap, where even if you are fucking with someone and you really don't have powers or whatever, you're still helping people regardless. You know, it doesn't matter how you do it. You know.
Well, when he talked about making a movie and what you have to do to make a movie, he used the term rape. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
You don't remember him saying that?
What did he say?
He talked about it. He goes like, to make a movie, and I'm gonna mess this up. I don't know if I should. He basically says to make a movie, you kind of have to like, it's like you have to rape the text. You have to like literally just, and he uses that specific term. And I remember everyone in the audience kind of, that was a one time in the movie people cringed a little bit. But then he basically said there's nothing sacred, nothing, you shouldn't come in with any preconceptions, like throw out what doesn't work. Like, don't be so precious about yourself.
Well, that's, I mean, excuse for how he's going to change Frank Herbert's material so much.
Well, because he never read it. That's what I...
What?
My belief
I'm the
is...
one here who hasn't seen the movie.
Okay, my belief is this. Hearing him talk through the whole movie, I believe that he never read that book. Not one page.
I assumed he read it.
Really? No, I don't believe he read... I think if he did, he read 20 pages and then did something else.
How can you possibly believe in this, then? That this would have been
because he is a true artist. It's just like Stanley Kubrick making The Shining, and it's nothing like Stephen King's book. But everyone thinks The Shining.
Then put a different name on it.
You just have to see it.
You know, well, I don't know. See, I am a true. Sorry, I'm with
you on this one.
I'm a true hardcore Dune fan. Okay, like I love Dune. I love Frank Herbert's vision. I love all that shit. I even like the David Lynch film, even though a lot of people talk shit about it. It is because it inspired me. The David Lynch film inspired me to get into the books, and the thing is like, just like Jodorowsky Dune is also inspirational, you know, and like this man was so inspired by the ideas of this book, you know, like his idea of this book, that like I'm just excited to see what he comes up with. Like he's such a fucking crazy dude that it's like I don't care if he hasn't fucking read it.
If you see this art, if you see the stories, I mean, I think it veers quite a bit from Dune. I've never read Dune.
Yeah, it does.
It still would have been an amazing movie.
But there's a lot of people, Amy, that have that opinion. I will not see this Jodorowsky's Dune documentary because I don't agree with a guy who didn't read the book. Because he says that in the trailer.
But it's not about the book. It's about the inspiration, you know,
process,
and it's about the process, and it's about what he was trying to do with this material, which was. Changing the consciousness of a whole generation of people.
Well, do you know, I mean, the funny thing is, like, what I was reading before I came into that movie were the Gnostic Gospels.
I bet that is real, yeah.
You know, they found these they found these books that were written around the time that Jesus, like the other Gospels were written, but these books were hidden. And these
because they're feminine.
Because there was but there was there's a specific one called the Gospel of Matthew that they found, where Jesus basically talks like Jodorowsky in the sense that he believes Jesus says. They basically say, "What should we do?" And he goes, "Well, don't come to me like I'm God. You're confusing me with the river that's flowing." And when I read these words, because I've always felt alienated from Christianity because I could never get behind a God who would tell Abraham to kill his son. I could never get behind. And then I started reading these Gnostic Gospels where they talk about the demiurge and that. And I mean, and what happened when I read them is I got this sort of chill through me and I realized I'm not alone. I'm a searcher. I've always been searching.
Yeah.
And these people back at the time of Jesus, they were doing the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They were doing the same thing. And in a weird roundabout way, Jodorowsky was fully in line. Mm-hmm. With he said when Jesus talked about, like, well, what should we tell people when they ask us who we are? Mm-hmm. He says, say you are the children of the light and that you come from the light. Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard that shit come out of Jodorowsky's mouth.
Right. Well, I've heard that shit come out of Morrison's mouth too.
That's what I'm saying.
Mean,
but I mean, this is a link.
Yeah.
This is like a link back to the 1st century where Jesus sounds like Buddha.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the only reason the same thing happened with Jodorowsky. The only reason that Jesus didn't win is that the Gnostic guy who was going to become bishop,
did not become pope.
Did not become the pope.
Yeah, it was
Valentinius.
Yeah, Valentinius.
And he didn't become pope. So then we had.
Well,
we had basically the sort of corporation.
Right.
You
the Council of Nicaea
for political power.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you have the patriarchal version of the Bible.
Well, dig this. The reason they didn't succeed, these Gnostics, and the reason Jodorowsky and all them, the reason they didn't succeed in the term of taking over the world is that the Gnostics, when they would get together to have a church service, there was no priest. They drew straws, and whoever got the straw would be the priest that day.
That's amazing.
Sound familiar? Sounds a lot like chaos magic.
Yeah.
And women were priests in the Gnostic faith, and they also, the other people who were on the other side of the equation,
they call it proto-Orthodox because they're like, we don't want to call it Orthodox because it wasn't Orthodox at the time, but the branch that would eventually win.
Yeah.
So I've always liked that term, the proto-Orthodox.
Yeah. So I mean,
there was just one branch.
So in a way, the story of the Dune thing and him not winning, in a way, he lost to the corporation of George Lucas.
Well,
I mean, I'm not digging. I love Empire Strikes Back too.
No, totally.
But listen to this. Though. This is something I thought was really interesting in the movie, is because he's talking about the end of his movie where they kill Paul, but then everyone in the movie becomes possessed by Paul because he's freed from his mortal coil or whatever. So now he's infected everyone, and they're like, I am Paul, I am Paul, I am Paul, and that's what happened with the movie. You know, the movie's throat was cut, and then it became all these other films, you know, and all these other comic books. So in a way, he kind of, in a meta way, he predicted his own demise within the film. You know,
he did.
And it makes sense that would happen for him because he's such a reality warper type person, you know, who like from what I've read, you know, he's a lucid dreamer completely, but at the, like he says that when he goes to sleep, it's just like him being awake. And when he's awake, it's like just like him being asleep. You know, like he's always in this half dream world, half awake world, and I don't know. It's hard to explain, but
I got a question for you.
Fucking A, man.
I got a question for you. Why were you depressed?
Because I saw myself in that.
But what did you see?
Well, I mean, just the heartbreak, you know, of just seeing like you're trying to do something to help humanity, and you want to like change the perceptions, you want to help evolve everyone to a place that's a little bit higher. And you just can't. And it's for the dumbest fucking reason, money, you know, and all this other stuff. And it's just like, and he's just misunderstood. He's so ahead of his time that he's misunderstood, you know. A lot of people don't see where he's coming from. And the loneliness of that, you know, is just like, it's just traumatic.
As people who love art, we spend a lot of our time, like, we need that fundamental assumption, not just that, like, good things will happen to good people, because we know that doesn't always work out, but that, like, somehow there's this leap of faith that we take, that talent will ultimately be rewarded. Well, that good things will kind of come around. Like we were talking about it earlier.
I gotta pee like you wouldn't believe. So we're taking a break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, she did that.
So now tell me about 10 minutes of the Inkle Metabarons in the Jodorowsky comic book universe.
Okay, so there's this thing called the Jodoverse, and it's all spawned from it's all spawned from the Dune movie that never was. And the Inkle is the big one. I would definitely recommend reading that one if you're going to read any of them. Humanoids publishes all this sort of stuff in the United States, so I would check them out if you're in the market. But yeah, it's just I don't even know where to start. Like the Metabarons is so much more Dune inspired than the Inkle, but the Inkle is like it's just this big. I don't even know how to talk. It's so weird. I don't know. And then there's the techno priests, and then there's
well, here's what I'll just give you some of the ideas he came.
Here it is. You definitely. I don't want people. Don't feel confused or bogged down by this. These comics are absolutely beautiful, well written, and for me, very, very streamlined.
They're very European.
Yeah,
they're not American linear storytelling.
What I had my problem with the books when I originally read, and it was the Meta Barons that I read. My biggest problem was I come from I love stripped down narrative, like noir type of narrative, and he's nothing like that.
Yeah.
He's literally like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens, and that's all on one page.
Yeah.
And I literally, like, it hurt my brain. So I didn't think it was bad, but it hurt my brain, and so I just put it away.
Yeah, it is definitely it's definitely one of those things that, like, if you've read a lot of American comics and that's all you've ever read, then you might be a little confused by it. It's just kind of like
it's a different sensibility of
storytelling. It is a different sensibility of storytelling, and you just kind of have to go with things and don't expect every single little thing to come back up. And
the only time I ever felt that way before, and this was again in the 90s, I'm bringing this back to the 90s, was when I was reading The Invisibles. And The Invisible hurt my head.
Yeah. Well, again,
do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm not used to art in America hurting my head.
Right.
And I think sometimes your head is hurt because it's just like, when I grew up, I only listened to the Beatles, and I thought everybody has to be super melodic and all that shit. And then then I ended up liking weird post-punk bands.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? It's like sort of your brain. Yeah. I don't think I was ready for Jodorowsky.
Yes. You do have to be ready for it. And, like, I will say this about the Inkle. It's like, you have your main character, John DeFool. And it's no accident that his name is DeFool, because he is the Fool card in the tarot, where he is just this person on a journey and has no idea what's going on, and is just like, well, I'm fucking here, let's go. And then he meets this woman, Anima, and he falls in love with her. But Anima is Jung's term for the female part of the male psyche, so it's like you have that whole situation, and he falls in love with her, but then she's, he's like, why can't we just do this? And she's like, no, John, we have to save the universe.
See, I know what it was. I know why I didn't like it, and it was for a very specific reason. I thought, I hate people who are so concept driven that they ignore character. And I usually inherently think people who throw a lot of concepts at stuff are phonies. And in American culture, that honestly is the truth most of the time. Right. So I didn't realize he was the real deal.
Yeah.
I just thought, okay, this is just
some guy.
You're talking about Anima and all, you know what I mean, and all this kind of stuff, and it's like, where's this, where's the heart? Where's the beating heart? I think I came around.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I came around. I think I'm ready for it.
Yeah. See, that makes a good point, because when you talk about the Invisibles, I tried the Invisibles, and it's like, oh my God, you're right. This is a little heavy for me. But I had to read other Grant Morrison stuff that was a little bit more streamlined and more like, Superman, Batman. And then I started getting into like his other stuff, and then when I finally came back around to Invisibles, I was like, oh yes, now I'm ready to stick really dive into it.
Well, I still think the Filth is basically the Invisibles done
from the opposite.
So I feel like that's totally a good way to look at it with Jodorowsky. It's like you take it in small bites, and you kind of find like what really does work for you, and you start getting used to how he puts out concepts, and then you start getting ready to like dive into like let me really
the
fuck
heavier
you up.
Stuff. Well, it's
like, because I love Jodorowsky. I like the fact that a lot of his stuff comes from the tarot, because for whatever reason that's easily like relatable, and if you want to do like your research in the tarot,
it's an ancient archetype,
and then a lot of his characters start to make a lot more sense to you.
Yeah.
And I like Holy Mountain. We were talking about that earlier. It's a totally psychedelic.
Yeah, the thing is, I haven't. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. But like all his characters are based on the tarot in that book.
Oh my God!
And once you start like getting into it, then you see how like what certain cards represent, and then that's the character, and they represent that card. It kind of starts to fall in a little bit better. So when you start diving into the Jodorowsky universe, it's like, oh, now you recognize these certain elements to his storytelling, and now it's easier for me to digest.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it definitely is, you have to put the building blocks in place and to work your way up to these situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
My favorite part of Holy Mountain, I don't want to give away the plot because I literally think we should have a screening party and watch Holy Mountain.
Yes.
With drugs.
With drugs. No, but there's this amazing sequence where they introduce all these people that are going to go on the journey. Mm-hmm. And it'll just blow you the fuck away.
Yeah.
It's all the richest, most powerful people of the world. Mm-hmm. Like, I run a cosmetics company. I also am an arms dealer.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and all of these people, they all join together to go on this quest to destroy the
ring?
Yeah. But I mean, it's like it's just like when you see it, you're blown away by the sheer audacity of it, and the sheer it's original, but it also feels like, I don't know, home.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, like he's really out there, but he is extremely sincere, like, and he is, like, the thing is about him is that he talks to your subconscious. That's what he deals with. He does not deal with this reality, and with your, normal everyday consciousness. Like, whether it's his comics, whether it's his movies, whatever it is, he's always trying to speak to your subconscious. And in a way, that, and it makes you feel uncomfortable because you don't know exactly he stirs weird things up in you. Like, after I watched Santa Sangre, I felt fucking weird for days. I mean,
yes.
Days, and I'm just, like, thinking about stuff, and I'm like, why am I fucking thinking about this? And this is so weird, but it's like, he really knows, and that's what his psycho magic is all about, like, helping people who come to him with a problem, and then he makes them act out some weird situation that speaks to their subconscious that breaks them of this unhealthy pattern that they have in their lives.
Well, he, in a way, I think of the term, the Crowley term, as above, so below.
Yeah.
So I think he always feeds your bubble gum. Mm-hmm. Like, he always feeds your bubble gum, which is with great art.
Yes.
And with great concepts, and then he sort of slips in.
He's always planting seeds.
He's always slipping in the castor oil.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, no. Sorry.
Hall & Oates are, you know what? Say what you want about Hall & Oates,
Yeah.
but they were sincere.
Yeah.
They
All right,
believed in
I'll
what
give
they
you
were
that.
doing. That's all I'm saying.
So it sounds like to me that Jodorowsky comics are not for beginners.
No.
You work your way up to it.
No, they're not for beginners.
Only to look at, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
you can just kind of fall in love with the eye candy of it.
Yeah. I mean, he always has amazing artwork in all of his stuff, but it's definitely something that's a little more out there for people who are looking for something a little more abstract, a little more surreal, a little weirder. If that's what you're in the market for, then I say go for it.
But Absolutely. In a way, even though, we're saying it's the secret knowledge, like the Gnostic secret knowledge.
And if you're not ready for it, you're not going to understand it.
Yeah, but in a way, he's not trying to be weird. He's actually trying to give you the simplest message of all.
Yeah.
It's just, as human beings, we have to think we're going on a grand quest in order for us to think that knowledge is valuable.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what Holy Mountain's about.
Yeah. Well, which is what the Ink
In other words,
about,
all the knowledge, all the
which is what Metabarons is about.
Yeah, all the truth we have is literally right here.
Yeah.
But you're not going to accept that truth until you go through a huge fucking journey and fall a few thousand times.
Yeah, exactly. That sums it up pretty well.
Yeah, it does.
And for me, it's the Mobius art. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
So let's talk about this comics pile here.
All right.
Comics.
Pile.
Wow, we got a lot of good stuff going on these days.
These are current comics.
Well, can I just talk about my top fave?
Just go.
Okay, my top 2 faves right now. Well, 3. Fuck, I don't know. She-Hulk.
Yes.
Is so friggin' good. I can't stand it. I love this She-Hulk. And I've never read She-Hulk before. I've never been interested in She-Hulk. I'm like, what? She's a lawyer? Who cares? I don't get that. Wow. And this is like, she's so human. She's so relatable. Like, and fucking Hellcat is so funny.
I adore
in it.
Hellcat.
Oh my god. Like,
Hellcat's in it?
Hellcat's in it.
Yeah, Hellcat's like totally the...
Okay.
And I love the way they're writing her because I was talking to you about this at House of Secrets. Like, they write her... Hellcat doesn't have any powers, really. She's just a crazy lady. Because you would have to be a crazy lady to be a superhero with no powers.
I found this costume in a basement. I'm an adventurer.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so they write her Like, she's just, like, this crazy lady that's just, like, this adrenaline junkie that just, like, likes getting these fucked up situations, and that's what she would have to be. Like, that's...
She's so plucky.
She's so plucky.
Well, especially when she talks about the part when she's like, look, this is the only thing I really got going for me right now. It's, like, drinks with you, and then let's go punch bad guys.
Yeah, like,
because that's the only control I have in my life at this point.
I know.
I need that tonight.
And I love that they get drunk, they're getting wasted, and then Hellcat's like, hey, this dude that was trying to get my pants from S.H.I.E.L.D., he was telling me about this AIM hideout right down the street. You want to go bust this shit up? You know? And, like, She-Hulk's like, you're kind of drunk. She's like, you drink just as much as I have, so you're not drunk. You know? And she's like, that's drunk logic, you know?
My God.
But they go anyways.
No, I haven't read it, and you guys are making it sound really cool.
They go.
Really
it's
and
like so
and the art is beautiful, by the way.
I know. It's so cute. It's so much fun.
Are you reading Hawkeye?
Yes, I love Hawkeye.
It's like having another Hawkeye.
Okay.
It's another Hawkeye
It's Avenger
title.
off duty. It's funny, but you take them seriously. It's
I used to read The Defenders back when J.M. DeMatteis, a great unheralded comic book writer, one of the best comic book writers, was writing it. And, like, the team they were a non-team, and the team was the worst fucking team of all time. It was like Nighthawk, Gargoyle, who's like an 85-year-old man trapped in a gargoyle body, and then the other character was Hellcat, and I always loved Hellcat. I'm like, you guys don't do anything good with Hellcat.
Yeah, no.
And now I'm hearing this, and I'm like,
yeah.
I just think they should call the book Hellcat.
And
Side note, I also have to plug the Catherine Immonen Hellcat mini from a couple years ago, where she was doing Avengers Initiative, and she gets dispatched to Alaska, and it's David LaFuente art, but there's
I haven't read that.
Oh, it's silly, but it's so good.
Well,
and then let's also compliment the fact that they're writing Jennifer She-Hulk like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, what a novel idea.
There's a part where...
Oh, man, I had a hard day at work where things aren't working well. It's 5 o'clock. I need a martini.
Yeah. I don't have any money. Like, fucking, I can't talk to Tony Stark, and he's giving me the runaround and all this stuff, you know.
4 o'clock.
It's totally.
It's
really good.
I love that, like, you know, there's this part where one of the AIM guys, you know, grabs Hellcat, and he's like, I'll do it. And she's like... You know, he's like, you're an Avenger, you're not gonna kill me, you know? And she's like, my life is falling apart. I am not an Avenger right now. Like, you tell me what I would and wouldn't do, you know? Like, you look in my eyes, you know? And it's just fucking hilarious.
You know what? I think I see what's going on with Hawkeye and this. These are not comic books. These are not comics about superheroes.
No.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
They're just, it's a trick.
But there are superheroes in them having superhero adventures.
But they are, but they're...
Like, she literally teams up with Hellcat and busts an AIM headquarters. They just tricked you into reading the comic about her and Hellcat teaming up and busting an AIM scene.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's happening, but I mean, it's kind of like... I don't know. It's like, it seems to me like somewhat of a trick. Like a good trick. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm falling hard for it. I love it.
Because to me, Hawkeye, I mean, I like Hawkeye a lot, and that...
Hawkeye?
Hawkeye. That's all about, to me, it's all about the people in the tenement. I don't give a shit who's
I know,
fighting.
I want to go back to the building. Every time they hit that part of the story, it's like,
all right, I'm going to read
up to.
Yeah. I can't believe that I'm reading a She-Hulk, but I have to admit something. I read all 22 or 24 issues of the very first She-Hulk miniseries.
Was that with John Byrne or before that?
No, it was before that with art by... most of the stories were written by kind of not a great comic book writer named David Anthony Kraft. And Frank Springer was the artist. And that was when she had, like, you know, the white shirt that was ripped.
Uh-huh. Hot.
I read all of those. I bought all of those.
I bought them all.
No, because remember I was saying this big brave thing about, no, I don't read things with this.
Oh, yeah. No,
I also bought every issue of Dazzler.
Awesome. Good man. Good man.
So.
And then also I really want to shout out, hopefully I say his name right, Soul.
Yeah.
The writer.
Yeah, I don't know
He is working like a madman right now for like 3 or 4 different... I don't know how he's keeping this work schedule going, but all his titles are great.
He's doing pulling a Bendis.
He's doing a Bendis.
But at 5 companies at once.
What? It's amazing. And apparently he is also doing... Is he doing Batman or no, Superman, Wonder Woman? I think. Like,
oh.
Do you know he's a lawyer?
In real life?
Yeah. And he's still working as a lawyer.
He's still working as a lawyer.
While he does this?
Yes.
That's why She-Hulk is so good.
Yes.
He knows
He's like freaking Harvey Levin, man.
They're fucking arguing over their hours in the first one. And,
Yeah.
He's an attorney who works as an attorney.
I don't know.
That's amazing. That makes
Probably
me like
writes the comics like in between briefs or.
He's like, the deposition's going well. Whatever, She-Hulk punches the guy.
Man, and also, I'd like to give a big shout out to Silver Surfer, Dan Slott, Michael Allred. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
Sell me on this because I haven't read it.
All right, it's
Silver Surfer is the
very
best
Kirby.
Doctor Who comic out there right now.
It's
so good.
Wait, you're already on issue number 2 and you think it's that great?
It's
already?
the best. The potential that this series has.
The potential after issue number 2, I was like, I'm all in.
Dude, he's writing
the Never Queen. I want to cosplay as the fucking
Darren,
Never
you need
Queen.
to be reading this. It's Doctor Who.
I have no idea.
It's amazing.
It's a Kirby Doctor Who.
It's
60s mod Kirby Doctor Who. I don't know, man.
Like they even made a reference in the first issue, like all of time and space. Where do you want to go?
That made me sort of suspicious because when they did the preview pages, someone was like, "Are they trying to turn him into Doctor Who?" And for a minute, I was like, "Is that going to be some weird like evisceration of who he actually is?" But I really like the series so far. It's just got that.
I think everyone's kind of tired of the Shakespearean whining.
Yeah.
Silver Surfer.
This is him getting on the board and finding adventures with his companion.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Who's his companion?
Exactly. We're gonna find out because apparently she's very special and we don't know why yet.
That's kind of the big tease in issue 1 is that they're like. Can I spoil the end of issue 1? Is that weird?
Oh, go for it, please.
They're basically, the big thing is, like, he discovers a place he didn't know about and some people who kind of want to blackmail to helping them, and they're kind of like, we've got the most important person in the world to you as leverage. And then they show the person.
And he's like, I don't know who that is.
I have no idea who this is. I've never
But
met
it's
her
enough to
in my
be
life.
like, what is the deal there?
I like that. Dan Slott is a really unheralded writer.
I think he's great.
He's coming into it now.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
2 years ago versus right now. Like,
And I like to always point out he got to start writing Sonic the Hedgehog. Yeah.
Actually, he wrote really great Batman Adventures comics.
Did he really?
Yeah. He did a run of like 17 issues, and he wrote...
Kind of influenced by like animated series?
Yes, it was. And it was Ty Templeton was doing the art.
Oh, cool.
You know Ty.
Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
go buy all the Silver Surfer.
No, the Silver. Yeah, there's only 2
I
issues
think I am
out.
going to buy that.
No, it is.
Have I convinced you?
It's
Mike Allred art. Oh.
You said Doctor Who.
And
so sexy.
Well, no, it's. I don't know. It just got me really excited. It got me excited, and I'm not again. It's just like She-Hulk. I'm not a big. I love Silver Surfer. Like.
No, I
take it or leave it. But
I
like,
gotta be honest,
this
guys.
is fucking getting me
I'm
excited.
at the age where if something isn't worth reading, I will drop it after the first page.
Yeah.
I'm just I don't have time. I don't have time left in my life. To
and this is just so much fun, and it's not.
he's not super jokey, but the world has a sense of humor, and I like that combination.
Yeah.
It makes me want to read X-Force again.
Which
His
series?
Ecstatics?
The Pete Milligan one.
Ooh, yes.
With Mike Allred art.
Mm-hmm. That was like it was an awesome way to kind of look at stardom in a weird way.
It was so
Danica,
in
have you
that
read it?
sense,
Like
like
it
I
had
read
a lot
part
of
of
like
it.
social commentary.
I need to do the whole thing.
There's an
haven't done
omnibus
it.
available.
I know.
he was
That's
writing
awesome.
about reality TV in an
I know, it's like
intelligent way before anyone was.
I know. It's like they're
Pete
the.
Milligan, great unheralded writer as well.
Yeah. And
So what else do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to ask you a question. How do you feel about Peter Parker coming back and Doc Ock being not going anymore?
After this movie? I wasn't ready to see Doc Ock go away.
So is he officially gone?
Yeah, he's gone. He makes an ultimate sacrifice at the end of Superior Spider-Man. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
And it's like, it's that sacrifice. It's the one you're thinking of. So they bring back Peter for Amazing Spider-Man, and he's dealing with coming back and with all the changes that Doc has made. Now he's got, Parker, like, his company.
Yeah.
Horizon?
Yeah, something like, it's not Horizon anymore. He, like Doc Ock, Peter started, like, Parker Labs or something like that. He's dealing with him being a dick to all his friends. And so he's like, oh, sorry, guys, it's the good old Peter again. He's also dealing with one girlfriend, Charlie Cooper. She's leaving. She's taken off. Mary Jane finally goes, you know what? You're absolutely right. This is never going to work. I need to have my own life.
Yeah.
So she's going and doing her thing. And
what about Anna, though?
That's the big one. We're going to find out how Peter deals with the fact that, he was moved in and living with Anna. Which is like, you don't want to read, but you also kind of really want to read to see how this is going to happen.
Man. Oh.
Because Anna Marie was actually a really great character. I really liked the relationship with her and Doc Ock.
But that's the inherent problem with a character like Spider-Man or any of the big comic book characters is they all exist. Neil Gaiman coined this term back in the 90s. That they all exist in a state of grace. Which is no matter what, they'll always return to the status quo at the end.
Yeah. Oh, eventually.
And I think Dan Slott, though, more than anybody, made you feel like things are different or changing. I mean, it was a great device to have Doc Ock.
Right.
Well,
I loved it.
It's just,
I genuinely did.
It's so much more interesting because we've seen what Peter can do as Spider-Man for how many years? And it's interesting to see Dr. Octopus trying to take on the mantle, and then he's got to deal with Parker problems, but he's going to deal with them in his own way, and he still has to deal with like the fact that he's a villain, kind of, and he has these villainous things that he wants to do, but then he has to like be like, no, I'm good, and it's just this really, it's just so much more interesting and so much more dynamic.
And the first issue is Peter going like, oh, he was doing this?
He was actually doing good?
He was doing awesome.
Like, maybe I was
why didn't I think of
him?
Yeah, why didn't I think of using these devices to help fight crime?
Because you were too guilt-ridden to do anything positive with your life.
Yeah, and it's like...
Get over the guilt, brother.
And there are some really good backup stories in issue 1 talking about like what happens with Mary Jane and everyone going away. Peter's back, and Slott's going to do a great job with it.
Right, right. Of course they'll do a good job with it.
But I wasn't ready to let go of Doc Ock Peter yet.
Yeah, I
really had a lot of fun with that character. Yeah. Especially watching Dr. Octopus make decisions to, like, he made the choice to redeem himself.
Yeah.
And he made all those right choices. And he was making the hard choices to redeem himself and be a better person. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool to watch, like, a really evil, egotistical villain, like, be humbled. Mm-hmm. And, like, kind of, like, check himself a little bit. Mm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a bad day for Spider-Man all around for me. It's not.
You know what?
Had to happen.
No, I feel the same way about X-Men right now, though.
Yeah.
Like, I stopped reading X-Men, like, right after Battle of the Atom, like, in December or something for a while, because I was like, I need to take a break for a minute from comics. And I came back, and I got all the back issues, and I've been reading them, and I'm like, man, I was right to stop, because... they're just getting bogged down in fucking bullshit political worldwide crap that I don't care about. Like, please, can we just have some character moments some fun stuff? A lot of them. I mean, like,
Are you talking about the two written by Bendis?
Well, okay. First of all, the new.
Okay, I just wanted to know.
No,
okay.
the new Wolverine and the X-Men. It's like I love the concept,
right?
But I don't think it's being executed.
The wrap up on Aaron's run was perfect.
I don't know.
Like,
Can't
say anything bad about that at all.
Yeah, they've started a new Wolverine and the X-Men, and it's starting with #1. Now we're up to issue 3.
Right, Jason.
And it's all about Quentin Quire dealing with the fact that he's destined to become the Phoenix and be a hero or whatever. And then you have Genesis, who's dealing with the fact that he's destined to become Apocalypse and become a supervillain. And I love that concept. That's an amazing concept, but. I'm not feeling this title, And then I was reading Amazing X-Men, mm-hmm. And I just don't fucking care about Mystique.
I know, you hate Mystique.
And I'm so tired of her bullshit, and, like, it's more Mystique bullshit, and I don't care about Azazel either, and I don't care about their fucking... I don't...
See, but I think that's a credit to Jason Aaron again, because, one, I've been saying this forever, Jason Aaron can write anything. Mm-hmm. Like, he did a 3-part Black Panther story arc during the Secret Invasion that was just so awesome. I'm like, I don't even care about Black Panther. I love you, Jason Aaron.
Yeah.
So I think it's a huge credit to Aaron's writing that Port Latour has to come in and pick up after what he did in this series.
Should not have a Wolverine in the X-Men.
It's not there.
Yeah,
it's
not.
It's also a credit to me because, like, I'm Mystique and Nightcrawler's family, and they're all fucked up. And we can all relate to that. But Jason Aaron's doing a really good job of writing those characters.
Yeah, I mean, it's a personal thing for me. I'm just...
Jason Aaron wrote, like, the best issue of Wolverine I've ever read.
See, that's what I'm saying, The
one, do you ever read the issue? It's like, how does Wolverine how is he part of all these teams?
No.
At one part, like
there's an explanation.
yeah, it's just
I
really.
just thought it was his mutant power.
It's really ingenious. No, it's just literally showing him go from like bar to fighting with the X-Men on Thursday. Then on Friday, he's fighting with this other team. I mean, Jason Aaron just literally attacks it.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
That's funny.
Everyone should be reading Southern Bastards, by the way.
Oh, I need to pick that up.
Okay, what
is Southern Bastards?
Yeah, what company?
Image.
Awesome.
And
Okay.
it's
Jason Aaron writing, Jason Latour on art. I guess they work together on
Jason Latour on art?
Uh-huh.
Not
Unless
writing.
it's a different person named Jason Latour, which would be odd.
Yeah.
But I guess they collaborated writing on maybe that Wolverine Japan's Most Wanted thing online or something like that.
Okay.
But like, so they've got some kind of bond going, and so I think simultaneously that he was sort of handing Wolverine and X-Men off to Latour, they were been working forever on Southern Bastards, and it's just like a guy coming back to this shit Alabama town, good old boy story, and
because Jason Aaron is from Alabama, mind you.
There's this amazing, like, the back page is both of them talking about their feelings about the South. Mm-hmm. And one of them is like, here's why I'll never leave. And one of them is like, here's why I'll never go back. But
yeah.
they love it fiercely.
Yeah.
Like, and it's, so far, so
Have you
good.
guys read Scalped?
I have it. I have not read it, but I have the
Scalped
first.
is amazing.
Yeah, that's everyone.
It's a hard read, though. You should point that out. It's a...
Of course it's a hard read.
Yeah.
But I like it. I like them hard.
No. Well, I'm saying it's mature audiences.
It's hardcore crime.
Yeah.
It's really hardcore.
And then it's like, God, you have Uncanny X-Men, and they're fighting S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't fucking care about that, you know? And it's like, and then to top it all off, what they're doing with my Dazzler is not...
What are they doing with your Dazzler?
They're harvesting her for the mutant growth hormone.
And Mystique has her chained up in a bed, and they're just taking her shit.
So
and
she's just a useless plot device.
Pretty much. And I'm hoping that maybe she's gonna have her revenge and get loose and do something cool, but I don't want to get excited for that because I know that's not gonna happen. She's like the Marvel Universe's whipping boy, and I don't know why.
You know what's so sad is that she's not even a girl; she's a whipping boy. Yeah. And no, what needs to happen is you need to pitch Marvel on your Dazzler idea and do it.
I've been thinking about
because I would read that.
I've been thinking
just
about
like
some
I read
ideas.
Those Dazzlers in 1982.
You know, she's got so much potential, and just nobody does jack shit with her.
Hello, she has like power over light.
Light, motherfuckers.
Light's kind of a major deal.
Like, it's a big deal.
Nothing moves faster than it.
Yes.
They recently put her on somebody's top 10 list.
Oh yeah, it was like top 10 lamest characters, and they're like,
she's not lame.
She's not lame.
I'll tell you who else isn't lame.
I feel like we need to
Molecule Man.
Conversation.
He has control over molecules.
Yeah, like, come on.
Do something with that dude.
It's like, seriously, bro. Ugh.
All they ever did with Dazzler is she shoots lasers out of her fingers.
And it's like, you guys
Come
are
on,
so
she controls
funny.
light.
I know, it's like, well, they do have her have, like, she does holograms sometimes and stuff
I feel like
that,
the people
but
who write her don't know science.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
And they don't even try.
I don't know science, but I would read.
Well, that's the thing. I was getting in touch with a friend of mine.
I would do my research.
I was getting in touch with a friend of mine who, you know, I was getting an email of another person that I've met, and he is a physics professor, so I was going to email him and ask him some questions about things.
Do it.
So, yeah.
You need to talk to Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to talk to somebody because I can...
Y'all need some science.
We need to do some fun stuff with her, and it's time.
Now
let me tell you, Neil deGrasse Tyson is sexy.
Stop it. I can't handle that.
He is super sexy.
You think of Neil deGrasse Tyson and they see the universe?
Dude, they would totally be
Silver
science
Surfer
bros
and
together.
Neil deGrasse Tyson hanging out with Dazzler. That's the team. She doesn't know a lot of science. He tells her what.
And that's how her powers like grow.
Her sidekick
She
is
needs
Neil
to figure
deGrasse
out
Tyson.
her shit on her own. Okay, she doesn't need a man to tell her how to use her fucking powers. Okay.
Okay. So it can be Neilette deGrasse Tyson.
It's so funny you were talking. I was actually sitting down and making up my own stupid, like, I would read this comic book if this was the team. And I came up with like my own Fantastic Four. And it was Dupe, MODOK, oh crap, who else? Beta Ray Bill.
Yes.
And Silver Surfer. Like, that would be my Fantastic Four. Have those guys go out on adventures because all of them are completely weird and silly and like the peripheral of like the Marvel universe and like don't really quite fit together. I want them to start making like really funny comics like that.
I want more MODOK. Period.
Yeah, MODOK was on the team.
Dude, you're sitting next to MODOK. Have you seen how big my head
MODOK
is?
was on the team. That was it. It was Dupe, MODOK, Better Ray Bill and
Silver Surfer? Just
Hellcat.
yeah, Silver Surfer. Like, I would totally read that comic book.
Yeah.
Especially like what they're
I
doing.
get 3 out of 4. I'm not sure how MODOK hangs out with those dudes.
I'll tell
Because
you.
MODOK is
He has nowhere to go. Okay, he has nowhere to go, and he can only hang out with the other weirdos. And
but he's also working for the Avengers now.
Yeah.
Secret Avengers.
Yeah. So he's trying to make the switch.
Yeah.
Which I'll tell you another thing I was just so disappointed in is they never did anything with Spiral in that friggin'
Oh, dude, that was so disappointing.
X-Force. And I was just like,
And
so
here's the other thing. I have an idea. Let's split them into 2 books. Why? And I don't like Cable at all.
See, I was actually really enjoying
everything about Cable reminds me of the comic book crash of the 90s.
He's not mine.
It was actually pretty fun because watching how he was writing Boom Boom was great. Watching Colossus and Domino totally hook up was awesome.
No, the best guys were Craig Kyle and God, who's he? They were a writing team.
Yost?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Chris Yost. Those guys did one of the best runs on the X-Men. I think.
On the
like
Uncanny X-Force
they
before,
did
remember?
New Mutants and then they did X-Men.
I remember like they were writing everything together. Like,
they were amazing.
The universe for a little bit.
They're
I
amazing.
have mixed feelings about some of their runs. It might have been some of the art on those too.
I thought the New Mutant stuff was amazing. They just killed half. They killed half the team in like the first couple issues. It was
That's pretty ballsy.
I do miss that New Mutant series.
BT Dubs, Miss Marvel's pretty awesome.
Oh,
Yay!
dude.
Okay, I've actually read something. I did read.
Here so we can see it.
Yeah.
I read the first issue, and it's hands down probably one of the best debut issues I've read in years.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
You want it to be this
Nailed
good,
it.
and then it's like, haha, I'm this good.
It's kind of like gets the Peter Parker formula exactly right.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you guys. I don't know a lot about Muslims, and I don't know a lot about the culture. Mm-hmm. And what I loved about it is that
it let you in.
It let me in, and at the same time, I identified with it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I just thought it did an amazing job.
It took the mystery away from it, because in the media there was like, Muslims,
yeah, well, it's great. There's like one dude,
and then it just shows them as people, which they are people, and they have the same stupid problems that everybody has.
I just love that there was
makes
one
fun of ignorant white people.
Yes.
Feeling insulting.
Yes.
This is what happens all the time.
Yeah.
There was like the one dude who's militant.
Yeah.
And then like the dad makes fun of him. He goes, "Oh yeah, you don't mind eating my food, but you were against the saint that I work for."
Which I also really like the fact that he keeps telling, like in his own way, the dad's like, "But seriously, when are you gonna go get a fucking job?
Like seriously, bro.
Like, I need you to. This is great and all, but I need you to go get a job."
Yeah.
Like I was having a lot of fun with that. I like the fact that she's also kind of like an Avengers groupie.
Yeah, she's a fangirl.
Yeah, she's a total fangirl.
Yeah, it's like reading the Young Avengers from way back when they were all kind of like a little fan club.
Yeah.
And they nailed the high school party vibe.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly how I felt like when you go into just that sort of like, what the, I can't drink.
Yeah.
I
don't want to be here.
I want to be here. Oh my God, he's so cute. I can't speak.
Well,
I can't speak my feelings.
Again, like I love how, it's like her parents are strict and they're like, oh, you shouldn't go out to parties and stuff like that. But that's not just a Muslim thing. I mean, like being from a strict Christian family, it's like I wasn't allowed to go to fucking parties with beer and stuff like that either when I was in high school. Like I fucking get it, Like
I didn't know about any parties with beer, but had I gone to them, I would have been her.
I don't think I was ever getting invited to those parties. It was like, hey,
no, my cousins were the only ones that got me into the beer parties.
No, I got into all those parties, but I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
Like one time I was at a drive-in movie when I was a kid, and the drive-in movies, they don't have them anymore. But
I always felt bad about that.
I smelled something I thought was
90s?
marijuana. No, it wasn't in the 90s, it was like the 70s. And 80s. And I smelled something. For some reason, I identified it as marijuana, and I said, "Mom, roll up the window. I don't want to get high." Because they had just done like a DARE program at school.
Yeah.
Like I was that guy.
Yeah. Well, they do a great job of brainwashing you. I mean, that DARE program is really great for that.
Kids on drugs.
I feel like our DARE officer never ever spoke about drugs.
Guess what?
We were just like
The DARE officers, the people the students were
What would
all
they
the
talk
people
about?
who got high. That was the cover.
Well, like the one guy that we got, like we tried like, oh, drugs are bad, but then like the kids, because we were so young, it was elementary school, we were like, he's got a gun, he's a cop. What's the worst thing you've ever seen? And literally, our relationship with our DARE officer, growing up for that entire 2 semesters that we had the guy, was just like, okay, so there was a hostage situation. And it was a classroom full of elementary school kids. We're just like, really? Did you have to shoot anybody? That was our relationship. Yeah. And I guess that was kind of like the weird, like, don't worry, if you don't do drugs, you won't be like any of these guys that I have to shoot at on a daily basis. Like, it was the weirdest thing.
That's what Ms. Marvel feels like.
It just turned us all into teenagers, though. I like that.
Yeah. No, it did. It took me, it took me back. And
read the letters columns.
I haven't been doing that yet.
The first one, especially, the editor of the book, Sana Amanat. Mm-hmm. This book is partially influenced by, I guess, Stephen Wacker. She hints at this, where he kind of was like, what would you like to see in comics? Like, hint, hint, someone who looks like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the way they draw her little cute nose, you know? Like,
I love Adrian Alfona. Oh, Runaways.
The art's really great.
Yeah, no, he was doing some stuff in that Uncanny X-Force. He did a couple issues of that, which I liked the art, but I was like, the story, you know. Mm-hmm. But it was good to see him doing something that had really good, awesome writing. So
I love Judah Wilson. Read Air, her Vertigo book.
Air's great.
Was there anything else?
Should we speed this really quickly?
Can I say Stray Bullets, yo?
Stray Bullets.
Stray Bullets is back. Started in 1995, then petered out.
Throw that over here. Let me see.
Yeah, throw it over here. This way.
Number one.
Throw those stray bullets over here, yo.
Yes.
Stray bullet in the okay. I hate to. I feel so. People are going to comment on me saying the 90s, but in the 90s, I was so burned out on comics. I read 2 comics: Starman by James Robinson.
Starman was awesome.
And Stray Bullets. Mm-hmm. And Stray Bullets renewed my faith in sequential storytelling. He's an amazing artist for. Give me one of those books. I'll show you why he's an amazing artist.
David Lapham.
Lapham uses the same grid pattern.
Yeah.
It's a
9 grid.
It's a 9-panel grid, and so he makes everything fit. The action all fits in there. That's a true artist who can do that.
Yeah.
The only other guy who could do that was Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
And
very cool.
And it does like a weird, like when you have something like that, like it sets this pace, you know, and it's really interesting. Like what's Sin Tutulo?
Yeah.
Kind of had a similar vibe to it, where it had that.
Still haven't read that. You guys.
I love comics that have a basic box imposed upon them.
Yeah, and then
then see what an artist can do within that box.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Stray Bullets is it's a crime story, but the weird thing about it is, and this is totally true, you can pick up any issue of Stray Bullets and know where you are.
Really?
Everyone is written as a self-contained narrative, but it's all also an overarching
That's brilliant.
meta-narrative.
And I will totally admit right now that I didn't discover David Lapham until Young Liars.
I never read Young Liars.
It was short-lived, and it was kind of like weird because I was looking for something after I finished DMZ. So I didn't want like another comic book like superhero spandex thing. But I discovered that was off the Vertigo imprint. And it was like, wow, these characters are really damaged and messed up. Wow, these characters are really damaged and really messed up. And there was like, especially the main characters in that comic were people that you didn't necessarily like, but I kept buying the issue every month.
Yeah.
And that's when someone was like, 100 bullets, dude.
Stray Bullets.
And it was Stray Bullets. And it was like, oh wow, like messed up characters, and I kind of want.
And the main character,
really cool.
The main character is a girl, like a 13.
How has no one told me
Virginia,
that? I know.
I think her name is Virginia Applejack or Appleseed. She's the hero of the book.
Well,
and
I gotta get on it.
Yeah, go on.
No, she's
You've
the
got
hero.
us.
No, she's the hero of the book, so it's kind of like she has a messed up family, but she's also fearless.
Yeah.
Like fearless.
But she definitely keeps needing really messed up people.
Yeah, she keeps she keeps running into different people, and then there's a sub story within Stray Bullets called Amy Racecar, which is actually Virginia's comic book that she draws.
We used to have this beautiful Amy Racecar print behind the counter at House of Secrets, and that was like all I knew for the longest time. And I was like, I want to be you, space lady.
I just really, I just really recommend people, males, females, in between.
Anybody.
Yeah, pick it up.
Well, that's the mark of a good story, is where anyone can read it. And it's
anyone of probably legal age, because I'm assuming there's some mature content.
Should we comment on the fact that we don't need to read the first run?
No, you don't need to read the first run at all.
Okay, good. Well, I'll
start with Killers. Yeah. I mean, the only other person I've seen do this is J. Michael Straczynski when he did Babylon 5. Mm-hmm. You could go into any episode of Babylon 5, watch it, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then it also was a meta narrative.
That's the one thing about Next Gen that I wish that they had. Like, I love the Monster of the Week thing, but I wish that they did also have that overarching theme.
Yeah.
You know, like
they kind of figured that out later on in the series.
Yeah.
But not until like season 4 or 5.
Right. It takes a little while. But
yeah, everyone gives Stray Bullets a
little weird shout out to Dark Horse. They put out a weird fantasy EC Comics reprint. And I've been really enjoying it. I mean, I've been picking up haunted horror for a while. They're so
fun.
They're so fun and goofy, and it's just such... If you're interested in society and how we've evolved as people, like, it's really interesting to read these stories and see where we were at, and it's surprising. Like, it will surprise you how smart some of these things are, and it's also fun to see some of the misogyny of the age and stuff like that, where it's like in the haunted horror, every woman is like gonna steal your soul
and then murder you,
or they're just like a damsel.
True,
right?
It's
like there's a one or the
totally
other.
True.
Right,
Yes.
I thought so.
Accurate.
Okay.
Yeah, but these are really.
That shouldn't be a slight for the storytelling. Because a good story's always been a good story, and for me, I could tell like, oh wow, they.
Yeah.
These comics are still better than most of the comics being written today.
Yeah, and they're just, I don't know.
And they're morality tales. I don't know why. I love morality tales.
Yeah.
But this is also pre-code, so the good guys don't have to win, and they usually don't.
Okay, Because I love morality tales in the same way that I love Stephen King morality tales. Like, sometimes everyone dies.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I love that.
No, and the crime, I mean, you got the sci-fi, but the crime stuff they did was amazing as well.
Yeah.
Ed Brubaker, and Sean Phillips have literally lifted panels from old, sort of like I guess I would say like a rapper sampling. Mm-hmm. They literally have the splash page from the first issue of Crime Suspense.
And model it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, they had everything. They had crime, they had sci-fi, war comics. Their war comics are amazing.
Yeah. Check out the EC Artist Edition if you have an extra couple $100 and you want something really, really beautiful.
Well, any Artist Edition, it's like, it's worth it if you're interested. It's worth it if you're interested because they're just so gorgeous. And I have the Artist Edition of the Mazzucchelli Daredevil Born Again, and it's just like every time I crack that open, I just get sucked into it for hours, just looking at the art. Just being like, what the fuck? This guy didn't have fucking Google image search. He just fucking came up with this shit. Like, what the fuck? Like, he didn't have reference for everything.
And the use of whiteout.
Oh my god!
Genius.
And the zip tone things that he had to put on the top of it.
What?
I mean,
it is.
It's amazing.
I mean, you see, he used whiteout as an artistic tool.
Yeah, I have done the
so
same.
Cool.
I have no.
The only other guy who's been that amazing as an artist, besides Mazzucchelli, was Howard Chaykin. Mm-hmm. If you ever look at Howard Chaykin, American Flag, and stuff like that, it's just master of sequential art and doing things with the 4-color comic book process.
Yes.
That are just unbelievable.
I know. It's just like the height of that shit. So.
Oh, you know what? We never got around to the questions that I had listed.
You had questions?
Maybe, just to be fair, you should pick one or two to answer.
All right.
What is your stance on
wait, are we done with
reform?
comics?
I think we got everything.
Damn it, no.
We didn't talk about Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman is awesome.
Oh, yeah, Wonder
Pretty
Woman.
Deadly's
I'm reading it. We're going to talk more about that later. Yes, I finally picked up a DC something that I love. Brian Azzarello, it's so good. We'll talk about that.
I don't want to like it.
Yeah, but we will talk about that.
I don't want to like it.
It's really good.
Really quickly, because someone told me that the Whedon verse is not getting enough love, and I read everything Joss Whedon. Buffy season 10 started. It's really good, and characters, they've brought them back, but they brought them back in weird ways, and there's been a giant paradigm shift in how the universe works now, so you need to be reading Buffy again.
My man,
and
Crystal
then
Stage.
Also, so good. And then also really quickly, Serenity, the follow-up to the movie. Issue 4 just came out. If you love Firefly and Serenity, this is an actual story that happens right after the movie, and it brings back a lot of familiar faces, and they even bring back people that, one, you hated during the series, and two, you hated during the movie. And they brought some of these characters back, and it's totally awesome.
And it's good art.
It's great art. Everyone.
That's the thing about the Buffy stuff. Is
Well, no, this season they kind of got with it.
Good,
like,
good.
I love Buffy, but I love Firefly the most.
Oh,
well, it's like the Angel comics. Like I'm like kind of an Angel person.
The IDW, the Dark Horse.
Well, the show, and then I was like, oh, maybe I'll do the comics, and then the art. It was like I can't with this.
This IDW.
No, they finally got with it because they realized that like the artist really does need to be able to capture the likeness of the actors.
Yeah, and this looks
so
good.
It reads a lot better. And on top of that, even though like
because this is Jonty, the guy that they got on the Buffy comics for the
right, and even though Whedon is executive producing,
you mean like Shield?
Shield got good, dude. Don't even start with me.
It got better than awful.
It got awesome. It got real awesome.
Yeah.
It was so bad to begin with. I can't believe you.
What?
I don't think.
No, dude. It actually has gone up to. I will watch this while looking at my computer.
Okay.
Oh. Guys, help me out on this one, dude. Shield has gotten really good.
I looked up that Deathlock nonsense, and that was nonsense. Okay, that armor looked cheap as fuck.
But they did the whole thing where they
It looked like a laser tag jacket.
It looked like a laser tag jacket.
I think it's the armor from Starship Troopers.
I don't care about the X-ray. I don't care. I
It
want
looks
them
so
to
good. And on top of that, Ward just became one of the most interesting characters on the show.
Yeah, he did.
I hated him. Now I'm like,
He is interesting now. He is.
And like,
And even
the
feathered
one became the most interesting
Banana
one.
Republic.
and even the feathered hair
dude?
hacker with the bronzing
Dude,
tan.
if she becomes Miss Marvel or something,
her last episode, like she went from being the character that I wish would die to like, I think she's the badass on the show now.
She was a badass.
No.
Yes.
It was.
Thank you, Amy.
Did not see that coming.
How long will it take you to hack this? I don't know. 2 hours? You got one. That's like the kind of time.
That's not her fault.
It's like Star Trek dialogue. Like, Scotty, you got 5
I was
minutes.
just gonna say that's like the Scotty Kirk relationship. Like,
Yeah, but I love it.
I drive now.
I love it no matter what, no matter how Shakespearean an actor is, no matter how method they are, they all do the computer the same. Right? Right, the one finger, the index finger.
I remember one time I had to do
no one
a
does
fake
that.
computer thing, and I totally did that.
But you never really do that.
Okay, speaking of which,
okay, thank you.
Read Pretty Deadly.
podcast time.
Oh, read lots of Pretty Deadly.
All right.
Yeah.
Pick one comment or one question.
Will you pick it? I can't read
I
that.
can't read from there either. Darren, pick one. That's interesting. Something you've always.
If you need us to.
Let me see.
Let's see.
Whoa.
Can we destroy Sony? Yes.
Oh, this is a good one. Thoughts on DC putting all their eggs in the Zack Snyder basket?
I think it's a mistake.
Boo!
You were calling him Zack the Hack Snyder?
Zack the Hack Snyder, man.
Oh yeah, that's so
like his really
original.
crappy
That's
wrestling name.
literally a hack criticism.
Yeah.
Well,
You
it's
are
so-
being a hack as you are
it's a
criticizing the hack.
meta.
It's like I'm doing no, dude.
I got called Kirk
I'm
the
stepping
Jerk the
outside
entire
the
time growing
hack.
up.
Kirk
I'm cool
the
with
jerk.
it.
Kirk
Yeah.
the jerk.
No,
Dude.
I think
It's better than Dana Cunt, I'll tell you that.
Whoa!
That's what
Somebody
I
said that?
Yeah, and he felt so bad that he had to tell his Catholic priest about it, and then he had to come tell me about it because he felt so bad about it because he was saying it behiing my back, and then it hurt my feelings so bad because I had a
Yay,
huge crush on him.
Catholicism.
Because I had a huge crush on this guy.
That's awful.
And then later on, my crazy stalker started doing mail, like having me subscribe to things, and then saying Dana Cunt, so I'll get Dana Cunt in the mail, and someone called me a cunt. So what I did...
Oh my god, I would cry so much.
No, so what I did was, on my video games that I play on my phone sometimes, I just named my handle Dana Cunt, so I see it all the time, so it doesn't bother me anymore.
You desensitized
Oh, you
yourself?
desensitized. It's
I
kind of like
desensitized
you
myself
fought
to
in
it.
Vietnam and you just
Yeah.
You reappropriated it.
you made the.
Yeah.
I'm
so
sorry. You know what?
sorry.
I'm sorry. I picked the Zack Snyder thing because I feel like it
No,
took us into
it's fine. It's
So
fine. I'm over
we are
it.
cool with Zack the Hack Snyder then.
I'm not. I mean, listen, guys. We're not gonna get in the Man of Steel thing, but all I'm gonna say is
Trying to get that out.
nobody's more surprised than me how much I liked the Superman movie. I'm very excited about the new one.
How do you feel about him directing
Well, that's all the
Justice
time we
League
got today for this podcast, guys.
and Batman Superman?
I don't know. I'm kind of scared right now because they're adding too many superheroes.
Yes, they're already going down
they're
that
trying
path.
to jumpstart the sort of continuity, and I think it's I don't want to say it's a mistake because I haven't seen the movie yet, and I really hate
Right.
too much of but I'm scared about them adding Wonder Woman, the Cyborg, and all these people in the movie, and I'm scared that it's going to be like a Spider-Man thing where it's just too much narrative, and they're not going to be able to.
Well, right. As soon as they force all those characters in there, you got to explain where they came from and how they got their powers, and
right. So that adds like another 40.
An hour of the movie.
Yeah. Either you take lots of time giving them an origin, or you skip it and make a crappy movie where nobody makes any sense.
I'm just concerned about. I'm concerned that it's going to be an extremely top-heavy narrative, and it'll be almost impossible because I felt for all of the criticism against it was very focused. Mm-hmm. It had laser focus.
No, they did have an idea, and they went for that. And I can respect that. It's like they did have a vision, and they did go for it. Even though I may not agree with that vision, it at least was still one person's vision. Which
I mean, my whole thing was I go back to Bruce Timm and throwing out why Bruce Timm should direct movies.
Yes. Because
he will basically he'll somehow take a hodgepodge of every version of Batman and make the best one.
Yeah.
Totally.
And what I hope this movie is a basic riff on the World's Finest episode of the animated series, which was in the animated series where Batman and Superman met for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping the plot is this. Batman is the villain of the movie. In other words,
we've talked about this.
I feel that Batman and Superman will be fighting for most of the movie while Bruce Wayne is working with Lex Luthor because he views Superman as a threat. Mm-hmm. And it's only later in the narrative where Batman will realize that Lex Luthor is completely insane.
Yeah.
And then the shift will happen. I'm hoping that will be the movie. Mm-hmm. I don't have a problem with Eisenberg being cast in it at all. I know where they're going with it. They're going to make him basically he's a dude who made $1 million creating Facebook. He'll be like that guy, but he's actually like a mastermind who's growing babies in vats.
I just don't see that swag though. When I think of Lex Luthor, I think of mad swag and Jesse Eisenberg.
Once again, though, which Lex Luthor? I mean, Lex Luthor was only became an interesting character when Jeff Johns got a hold of him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's the truth.
Before that, he was just always just a bald dude who was mad. And that was it.
Okay, last question. How about the one? What character would you love to kill off permanently? We could all do one and finish it off.
Oh man. Huh.
Ooh. Kirk, you're first.
Oh, I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
Mystique. Let's fucking kill Mystique, okay?
Team Dazzler.
It's just, I'm so tired of her fucking shenanigans. Oh, I look like somebody else and no one can tell who I am, and I keep giving... It's like her power is too fucking much. It's too much. It's boring. It's boring. And then, I know that there is a Mystique comic book where she's a double agent and that's cool or whatever.
Brian K. Vaughan.
But what they're doing with her now is I just want to run Madripoor, and I'm an evil person, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just what the fuck? Every other fucking character in the Marvel Universe is growing and becoming different, and having, fucking Magneto. Look at fucking Magneto and see where he's going. And then fucking she's over here still pulling shenanigans.
Yeah, I kind of liked when she was we've been doing this for all this time, and what do we have to show for it?
But but they're still doing the same thing, though, that they've been doing. And it's well, then why don't you do something fucking different? It's just, she's boring.
Buy an island.
She's
she's trying to do. She's trying to buy Madripoor.
I know that was
right.
It's boring though. I'm tired.
A different kind of island.
I'm tired of her shenanigans. I'm tired of her. She's boring. She's a plot device. I don't care. Oh, I'm in a parade with somebody else, and no one will ever know it's me. Fuck
they always present her as if this is gonna be so much fun when you see her morph into this person and this person. It's never been fun. I only have the experience of the movies, so
she's it's too retarded. I don't know.
Okay. Any else, Kirk?
Honestly, I know everyone's thinking heroes. I think it'd be really cool to kill off a main villain and see what the ramifications of that were in a universe.
But permanently.
Yeah, permanently.
But permanently.
We can never see this character again.
Well, what universe? Which the X-Men, the Spider-Man, Superman, Batman?
I think a character that's kind of lost his gusto and to make him important again, maybe Two-Face.
I agree. Then you didn't read the recent Batman and Two-Face storyline.
With Tomasi.
Because it was genius. It was genius.
Dude, Tomasi does really great things.
That Batman book is the best Bat book being done.
Really? Okay.
Patrick Gleason is yes, and I like Scott Snyder. I like Scott Snyder, but the heart of Batman is in the Batman.
Okay, because here's the funny part: when they did the whole Damian thing, I was loving Tomasi's take on
Me too.
On their relationship.
Yes.
So Kufu.
Well, no,
The first 8 issues of Batman and Robin is an iconic storyline. People will read it 15 years
So
from
I need
now.
to go back and check it out.
I was so bummed when, obviously the death of Damian, and, like, I just love what they were doing with him in Batman and Robin.
But what they do with Two-Face is really clever.
Okay.
And I don't want to give too much away, but it does do what you're asking for.
Okay.
All right, anybody else?
Cool.
Oh, yeah. You guys.
I want to kill Wolverine.
Well, they
You're
are.
going to.
Yeah, who cares?
No, I mean, I want to really kill Wolverine forever.
Yeah.
Do you know that Chris Claremont originally wanted to kill Wolverine? Like
my feeling
back in the 90s?
My feeling was Wolverine was only good,
During the Extraction
only really
period?
good when he was a member of the X-Men book, like with art by John Byrne, and he was sort of I just think like he's so overexposed and overdone and over everything, and they've done I mean, he's not. If I never saw Wolverine again, I wouldn't cry.
You've already seen it all.
But I would have said the same thing a few years ago, and then we wouldn't have had Wolverine and the X-Men. I don't know if I...
Well,
but then I understand. I understand what you're saying. I just don't want to see. I'm so tired.
Well, I like that what they've been doing with him in Wolverine the X-Men, where he has become the headmaster and he is trying to do it. But then again, they won't commit to it, which is so frustrating because he's still off, always fighting and leaving the school.
Because he always has to, more than any other character, even Spider-Man, he has to come back in the state of grace to the status quo.
And it's just
nothing can really happen.
I want to see him commit to that role, stay at the fucking school, work with Evan. I mean, for God's sake, you think Evan isn't going to become a fucking villain because nobody ever fucking talks to that kid.
Like
nobody's ever doing anything with him.
No one will talk to him. No one will associate with him.
Of course he's going to become a villain.
Do you guys remember when Wolverine?
Nobody's working with him.
When Wolverine was like not cool and he was real hairy and short, and Jean Grey would never even think of giving him the time of day. Yeah, that's the Wolverine I love and miss.
Yeah,
and he's gone.
Well, that's the Wolverine I would love to see in the movies. I would love to see that.
They've ruined everything. The Days of Future Past, even. It's just like Wolverine can't be on every inch of celluloid. Yeah, I know. He is a part of an ensemble. It's a team.
Well, that's what I've
been saying. And the problem is, any book he's in,
it's always
takes
about
it
him.
over.
I know, and it's like they should call the X-Men the Wolverine Men. Because every fucking movie is about Wolverine. It's through the lens of his character.
And that's my problem. When killing him would be so good. Killing him would be so good for the X universe. Yeah, there'd be no more of the Wolverine shit that we just are so I mean, everyone else would have to step to the plate.
Well, it's like, again, too, it's like, how I was saying Mystique, I fucking bummed on her. Fuck Sabretooth, too. Yeah. I'm so tired of their fucking bullshit,
always sucked ass.
I know. It's just like, fuck off. Like, get that.
He did.
He always sucked ass, and he wasn't... He's got claws and a bad 70s Dave Cochran suit.
Yeah, I liked Ultimate Universe Sabretooth. Because then he had the claws, but he had 4 claws, and then right away they called him out. He's like, "So you're the made-in-Japan version of me." Fantastic.
I'm going to tell you something. Yeah. There's only one Wolverine origin that's worth its weight in salt, and it's the Weapon X story. And doing any other stories was a complete... They ruined it. They ruined Wolverine. I don't want to know everything about
James
Wolverine.
Howlett. I don't fucking care. I don't want to know that he was a fucking bitch baby when he was a kid. Like, I don't want to know that.
Wolverine was not a bitch baby when he was young. That's what I mean. It's just like, and that's like overdoing Wolverine and not understanding what makes him special.
I know.
An outsider, me, I'm confused because I know there's a Weapon X story, but there's so many origin stories of Wolverine.
Yeah.
Weapon X,
make sense of it.
Written and drawn by Barry Windsor Smith, and it's just an amazing story of kind of how they put the adamantium on him.
With the helmet.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, and in the end, he wanders out in the snow. It's a great...
He's saying that's all you need.
That's all
right, but
you
they keep
need.
expounding on the origin and...
Yeah.
Exactly, well, and they ruin it.
Now they're doing Origins 2 or something.
Yeah, they're doing Origin 2 right now. It's not...
This is not a character. And the whatever.
What I'm saying is this is not a character you want to know everything about.
He's cool because he is mysterious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you're shining
That's
the
why
light
I always
on
like
him
Thunderbird, because he died in like one issue. I never knew anything about that dude.
No, we need to do Thunderbird
Talk
fucking
about
Origins.
Mystique. Oh yeah, killed a Native American.
Yeah.
So Amy, you're the only one that has picked a character you want to kill off permanently.
Kill off forever.
And you'll be judged for this harshly.
Yes. For all time.
Enough. I'll judge myself the most harshly of all. Because
You're on the spot.
I tend to avoid characters I wouldn't want to know about. Like, And so, I mean, it might just be because I don't appreciate them, but I want to kill someone bullshit like Deathstroke. Like, does the world need him?
You know what?
The point is no character annoys you like the rest of us.
No, I like that point because Deathstroke is like this weird throwaway character that they finally decided to bring to the forefront, and he keeps being like the utility, like story, device to advance things.
Yeah. The Marvel version
is better. I get that
he's
important for Teen Titans, but
the Marvel version's better. What's that guy's name?
What, Deadpool?
No. He has a shield. He's got like a little skull mask, a hood,
Crossbones.
No. A hood, a cape. He carries
Taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
See, Taskmaster's awesome.
I love Taskmaster.
I love Taskmaster, yeah.
There was a great miniseries.
I was just going to say, did you read that?
Yeah, who's the writer? That was great.
I can't remember, but it basically explains what happens when he keeps adopting new abilities from other people. He pushes out, like, vital memories.
Yeah.
Constantly keeps losing himself.
That's what I mean. They did interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I always thought Deathstroke actually was a very nuanced character in Marv Wolfman's Teen Titans run.
Yeah.
But now they kind of use him as a Deus ex villania.
Yeah, he's always the mastermind. Like he's the final reveal.
I don't want to be part of erasing the Teen Titans history, so I take back my killing of Deathstroke.
No,
sorry,
it's all for all time.
No, Deathstroke.
Okay, so then kill somebody else.
doesn't like Deathstroke.
Do you want to pick another character?
Who would you?
I wouldn't be able to answer this question.
Yeah, I try not to.
You gotta go with
that I totally hate.
What? Okay, so we're gonna wrap up this episode. Why don't you do an outro?
All right.
Thank your guests for being here.
I would like to thank everyone for being here. I'd like to thank D-Dog Darren.
Yo. Thank you.
Amy Dallin. Check out her vlogs on Geek and Sundry.
Yay! Thank you.
Captain Kirk and T-Bone, as always, you're a wonderful moderator.
Thank you. I moderated very well today.
You're a peach.
Did a lot of work today, dude.
And that's it.
Bye.